everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Prop Talk, the official podcast of the Property Masters Guild. I'm Chris Call, as usual. In this episode, we tried something different. We took the show to LA's vintage prop house, History for Hire, where salesperson Remy de la Mora and I hosted property master Gay Perello and Paul Baker, one of her assistants, on Michael, the epic biopic about Michael Jackson. Many of the instruments and the media gear were sourced here, and we thought it would be fun to have that as our backdrop. So before we get started, one last note before jumping in. The production designer for Michael was Barbara Ling, who sadly passed away not long after our recording. I had the honor of working with her on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and the beginning of this film, too, before I turned it over to Gay. She was an incredibly talented designer and an exceptional human being who will be greatly missed, but is immortalized in her work. So Godspeed, Barbara. We all love you. And now the show. Okay, so hey. Welcome, everybody. I'm Chris Call, as everybody knows.
Prop Master to the Stars.
Prop Master to the Stars, as they say. Here we're in this fabulous History for Hire, which everybody loves. Yeah, and again, if you don't know about it, it's a period of prop house here in Los Angeles. And we're here today with Gay Perello.
Hello.
And Paul Baker.
Hello.
Two of the fabulous people from the movie Michael. And this is what we're talking about today. Is Michael. Look at that. She's wearing the, and I was just telling you,
Jackson shirt and everything.
This is the
Period
one
shirt.
Michael Jackson show that I saw in Dallas, Texas in 1984. It was awesome. I don't remember anything about it other than Michael Jackson was that big on the screen because I was so far back. But anyway, it was great. But I just saw the movie last night, so it's fresh in my mind, and I have lots of notes. There's a lot of things that we can't talk about with the movie because the movie is still in production essentially.
Right.
For all intents and purposes, there were a lot of scenes that were shot that didn't make it in the first film, but it may be in a subsequent film, so spoiler alert. So we can't talk about any of that stuff. But we can talk about the props.
Yeah.
And because there were plenty of them. And as usual, when I watch a movie that Gay Perello does, I'm sweating bullets the whole time thinking, only Gay.
You mean all the movies that you turned down?
All the movies
that I take over. Yes,
full disclosure,
yeah.
I started the film and then I backed out and turned it over to Gay once again. In great hands as usual because you guys killed it. I mean, and I know that it nearly killed you as well, which, we could talk about a little bit because I know it was a massive production and you could see it all on screen. And then, of course, there was everything that didn't make the movie that was probably like another whole movie, or at least a large portion
Maybe
of
two.
it. Yes. So that's always an issue with all of us, but especially on this one because, they decided halfway through production that it could be a two-parter.
Right.
And so that for that reason, a lot of stuff got shot that didn't end up on film. So I'm sorry for that because I know it's painful. But someday it'll see the light of a theater, hopefully.
Yeah.
And it'll be great. But for our purposes today, we know, we all know that a lot of the instruments, which is a huge part of the film, were sourced out of History for Hire. And I know also that you got a lot of instruments from everywhere because they were very specific instruments, because I tell people when I started doing the film, it's not just a period film or a historic film, it's period, which means that you have to get not just a cool guitar from the 80s, you have to get the guitar from Tito's guitar. You can't just throw any guitar on them, So that's what, so talk about that a little bit, your challenges of getting the instruments on the show.
Yeah, well, that's actually a great place to start because the first 2 weeks of filming or the concert performances. Mm-hmm. And so we knew that was going to be our focus during the big chunk of the first part of prep.
Yeah.
And I'll preface this by saying, yes, I can get credit for doing a great job, but I think one of the best things about that I do is bringing in the right people.
Exactly.
Right? And we even had a stair step of I put some people in prep that were not able to do the film, but they could do prep,
Right.
and they were so good at what I, assigned them to do. That's kind of how we were able to kind of take
Jam
on
it
this
together,
giant
yeah.
elephant sandwich. It was just like putting the right people in charge of those things,
Right.
because not one person,
Sure.
not a, it's an army of people who everyone that I put on was so invested in making this movie and making it correctly.
Right.
Because that's another thing. You can have somebody good at what they do and they're good at research, but if they're not in it, you're not going to get that love that is that extra mile that
Right.
people put in it. And that's, most, I remember Doug Fox came in for like a couple of weeks and did some shopping, and he just wanted to
excellent.
be a part of it because he was
Right.
like, this is my soundtrack,
Yeah.
Michael Glenn couldn't do the whole movie, but he wanted to be a part of the, Casey Bird couldn't do the whole movie, but he wanted to be a part of,
Right.
and then you had the core that were on it throughout, and also reaching out to all of our vendors who were so psyched to be a part of this.
Right.
That's where the most joy and the most pleasure comes in, because that doesn't happen on all of our movies.
Right.
It's just by the nature of film. You're not that attached to
Sure.
them in ways,
Sure.
right? And so it wasn't hard to find people,
Right. Yeah, well, like you said, it's a soundtrack of so many of our lives.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, for me, I mean, just the research that I got to do in the 4 weeks that I was on it was like so fantastic. I mean, it was...
And it was good research, and I used it all.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And being able to go to Neverland was incredible too.
Yes.
So that was awesome.
Yeah,
but-
and Michael's home, Havenhurst.
right. I never,
And there's a room upstairs above his studio. We rebuilt his studio on stage, but parts of it we were there at his real studio. And at the top floor are all these images from Michael and the family and everybody who's walked through those doors.
Right.
And that was like a museum. We were just
Sure.
talking about museums. It was
Yeah.
like that was a real museum.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, and Barbara Ling and Amy Wells, they did
God.
such a great job with those sets.
I mean,
Just
Well,
What
I
she's
went-
talking about was real.
no, I know.
Like, that was
but
just
I'm
at the
saying,
house.
But
taking that reality
Oh,
that
yes,
was
yes,
the,
yes.
and
his
that
house
helped
and then
us.
translating
When
it.
you're looking at your screen, and the research is insane. That took up most of my time
Yeah.
and most of everyone's time. Right? Was looking at being a detective and go, what logo is on that speaker? We were
Right.
doing this. That's
Oh my
Sherwin
God.
Vega.
Does the neck have dots or does it have squares? Does it
Yes,
have-
it's like, okay, what
Yeah.
year is
Right.
this? And because of the, and you're doing that, but when you're in their homes, you're like, wow, I could have just come here first and gotten, and the
Right,
estate
sure.
had, and Amy will talk about that. She did a great job. She will say some of the best finds were going to the estate, and they just had it in a warehouse.
Did you guys have access to that auction catalog?
Yes.
That
A
thing
bit.
was incredible
A
too.
bit. It was, as you know, very difficult. A lot of layers in
Right.
order to get it, how to get it, what they're going to let us have.
Right.
But they were very gracious. I would say the one thing that I really wished I had that they denied me, and I completely understand why they would deny me, was all of Michael's writings.
Sure.
That was a very
been so cool,
tough thing to recreate.
Yeah.
And like what's on there,
Right.
I could only get what was on the internet, right?
Right, right.
And thank God he has 5 different handwritings in one human being, because it took that many of us to write all the lyrics out. But
Yes.
but yeah. Oh, but to go back to your instrument thing, especially with starting off with those concerts,
Yeah, that's huge.
it was huge, and
was.
you don't even know how big it is until you're in the middle of it.
No, I mean,
you're going, wait a
again.
minute, what about this cable? What about this? I mean,
Well, yeah, and so were all the instruments live?
they were. We had, because we did Victory, we had a lot of things that we had to recreate.
That drum kit for one.
The drum kit was huge, and that, I think you and I talked
Yes.
about that. Like, was there any movement on that? Has anybody
Right.
gotten into this? We got quotes for the cage. I think everybody
Right.
knows what we're talking about. What's the not Boyette?
The drummer?
Sugarfoot.
Sugarfoot.
Moffat.
Oh, Sugarfoot.
Yep,
Oh,
Sugarfoot.
Moffat's
Moffat,
drum
yeah.
kit.
Yeah.
Who came to
it's
set
like-
too, which was
and
awesome.
it's- so
Yeah, I
it's
know
like,
he
we
wanted to
gotta-
come.
We got to do this. And I got a couple of bids on how to have it built from people, and not affordable.
Yeah.
Not in budget. I'm not going to say not affordable. It's just
Right.
not in my
Yeah,
budget.
Sure.
right.
You know?
And time frame too, I'm sure.
And time frame. So there's like, what do? We gotta figure this out. I mean, it's just metal, curved metal, right? And a drum kit. No,
Gotta hold
that's me
cymbals
saying
and
it.
everything,
And
yeah.
so
But we learned as we went, as we were building it, right? It was
yeah.
kind of like, okay.
Well,
this-
first of all, it's like, how do you even build it? And that's
Right.
one of the things that Michael Glenn and Emily Joe, it's like, that's their job for the first 4 weeks.
Right.
Drum kit.
Yeah.
And then we would do like, how's it going on the drum kit? How's it going on the drum kit? And they really figured it out by pieces and putting it together and knuckles and all
they
of that
Frankensteined the
stuff.
thing
They
together?
Frankensteined that
Yes.
fucking thing together. And then we bought a drum kit that we
Wrapped.
skinned.
Yeah, you had the
to
kind
match
of
it.
front
Skins
made
are
as well.
nuts,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Also, I want to say Gay had a great plan about in general, the back line in general was like, obviously we needed pre-calls and whatnot, but the way it was with the lighting people that had to switch over a concert, what was it like 3 days, one concert?
Yeah. Yeah.
4 days the next one. Gay had this great plan where we would come in, one drum set would get put on a riser, and then the rigging grips would take it and kind of move it for us.
Nice.
But like the way it was is we had everything like labeled with colors and tape and sort of just like, this is going to be the victory tour, this is going to be bad, this is going to be, and so we would have everything set on one part of the stage, like that's all for that
Yeah.
tour.
Right.
And this was for the, and then we'd sort of do like almost like a cycle.
We were
like,
roadies.
Yeah,
at
we were
that
roadies,
time,
right,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and-
100%.
Now, did you
Yeah.
guys? I remember the idea was that you were going to film it at the parking lot of Magic Mountain. Did that still
Right.
happen?
No,
Sony.
Sony.
Oh, Sony.
Oh,
Yeah.
you did.
That was a bad idea.
That was a bad idea.
To do in a parking lot. But yeah, Sony, I think, finally got that clearance of we could shoot in their very tall stage that
Right.
they have over there. And the art department just killed it with these designs of the way the stage was going to look. Because all
Right.
of this, as you know, we work in a vacuum.
Yeah.
We're in this room, they're in that room, you know, whoever's gathering this, and this is in different places. And so we had to have a working document of who was getting what.
Right.
And so they would break down, we need, you know, these speakers here. And I have to say, Amy Wells, so great. But early on, I had told her, since I had done a bunch of music stuff
Right.
before, I felt comfortable. She's like, great, it's not my wheelhouse to do
Sure.
the speakers and the
Right.
and the whatnot. And, you know, little did I know that I had a lot to learn too. But getting SIR also
Right.
involved
Yeah.
in all of
Pierre.
that old, and we had them on payroll because it was a lot of their equipment, because they had to make the music, you know, we had to play it.
Right.
Even though we didn't record instruments,
Sure.
we recorded Jafar, so all the microphones had to be practical.
Wow.
And then we they let them play, and it had to sound and be like the concert. So everything had to be real, even though we weren't recording using
And
that
did you
music.
have to provide instruments for rehearsals?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a whole nother thing of
that
like
was
a
Emily,
whole
Joe,
other
and I
thing.
taking
Yeah.
carts of instruments for rehearsals, then deciding what we needed from the rehearsal to come back for what we were filming the next day.
Right.
So it was a lot of like back to it. Luckily, the stage wasn't that far away that they were rehearsing at. But also, I think like for the people playing David Williams and you know Jennifer Batten and all his main musicians, they, even though they weren't going to be recorded, they
Right,
wanted
they
to
had to
play.
do it,
Like Gay was
yeah.
like, Paul, this is where I need you to use your guitar knowledge, because
Oh, yeah.
when I would hand them guitars, they checked them.
Right.
Are they in tune? Is the
Sure.
action right?
Oh, well,
you know,
Speaking of getting the right people, I
Right.
mean, you get Paul Baker around a
Hello.
guitar, and it's like, okay, bye, Paul. You know,
my first day on the job, literally my first day on the job, I came to the prep room and she was like, I need you to go through these guitars. I was like, okay. And so I started going through them. And of course, I was like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
Like, I was like a luthier in a way for a little while, prepping them. And then Gay came right back out and said, you're not going to play these guitars all the time. You're going to work. I don't want to come in here and have you playing these guitars. I was like, I'm not, Mama. I'm not. But honestly, those musicians that were hired, they
Yeah.
were actors, but they could really play.
Yeah.
I think they really appreciated that Gay got the right stuff. She let me set them up. You know, Emily and I were setting them up all the time. The drums, Emily did the drums, I did most of the guitars, but then she'd jump in with me too. And we we had this cart, which we laugh about, was called the MMGU.
Oh, yeah.
And I told him I was going to fit this in. It was called the Maven Mobile Guitar Unit.
Nice.
And basically it was a great
it
rubber
had its
cart.
own chair.
It did. I decked it out and labeled it. But it was a place where all the guitars could go. to get fixed. And so the musicians would come over to the cart and they'd be like, hey, the E string feels high, or they'd tell me these things. And I was able to kind of like customize it to their liking.
Yeah.
And I think they appreciated,
I'm
even though
sure.
they knew it wasn't being plugged in, and I think they appreciated, like several times they said to me, wow, you guys really got like real stuff.
Yeah.
Like this feels
Yeah.
great. And it was
Yeah.
like, it's the stuff that's not noticed, right?
Right.
And that they knew that our boss was providing them with what they needed to perform. And the fact that it was like really in tune and really to their liking, I think it helped them.
Did you guys have other guitar techs with you, or were you the guitar tech?
He was the guitar tech.
Wow. And
Yeah,
so did
it was
you
him.
like
We
had to
had
get a bunch of strings on?
we had Dave.
David Charles.
Dave is a band member from. I met him on Family Leave, and he helped me with the Weezer concert. With us.
Great guy. Great
Great
guitar
guy.
player.
And he was the one who like cabling synths.
I was going to say
setting up.
before, her saying that she assigned people to the right role.
Right.
Some roles aren't the most glamorous, but need to get done.
Sure.
David who
God.
didn't have a lot of experience as a prop assistant compared to us,
Right.
but he was newer to the prop world, but he was such a hard worker. He's a guitar player in a 90s band
Right.
that still goes out
Yeah.
and tours.
Nice.
And he also, he said to us, I'm going to take the cabling on. He just literally said it.
Right.
Because I know no one wants to do it.
Yeah,
but
that's
somebody needs to
brilliant.
organize this
It
stuff.
does.
And
I mean,
he
that's not
really-
something that I'm thinking about, give a shit about, honestly. But it
Sure.
has to, it has to
But
get
he did
done.
it, Gay. Like every morning when I
Yeah.
was running around with
Yeah.
Emily doing the instruments, I'd be like, "Who's on the cables?" And I turn around. There was
Yeah.
Dave with his milk crates, setting them all up. Everything was taped and color coded. And that's why Gay's plan of sort of switching out the back line,
Right.
us coming in for a pre-call or staying late, switching stuff out, it really helped it stay organized because it would have been so easy for it to become
Yeah.
a
Well,
mess.
I attribute that
No
to
doubt.
it
So,
was
like-
it was a good plan.
Great
from-
plan.
In the
Great
with
plan.
the art department and with the ADs and asking we asked for more help and we asked to put SIR on. Everything was a yes. It was the only way to do that. In
Yes.
fact, at one point, Liz Tan, our great first AD, she get on the microphone and tell everybody what was going to go on for the day or whatever. And about after day 3 or whatever, she's like, okay, and then the fairies are going to come in at night and they're going to switch the stuff
Right.
over. So when we come in tomorrow, it'll be set up. And I'm like, Liz, there are no fairies.
They all have union cards.
Yes.
And they're all cursing heavily in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like Grip
stay-
Electric where we have a rigging crew. It was us.
Yeah, it was
Yes,
us. It was
exactly.
like we stay
That's-
late, we come in early,
Yes.
and
What was your pre-call on, on concert
we would do
days?
an hour to 2 hours,
And then, like you said, after the day of shooting, they would switch
Yes.
sets overnight,
Yeah.
stages.
And we
like
would
from Victory to
stagger
Bad or
certain
whatever.
crew members to come in at call
Yes.
because they're
Right.
the ones that stay late. Because while we're filming, but actually Paul and Julie and Emily, Julie was like a mad woman with all the microphones. Like
Yes.
she was in charge of making sure everybody had the right microphones,
Right.
and that's
And it
its
mattered.
own thing.
Yes.
You know?
Of
Certain
course.
mics for certain
Yeah.
That's what I'm
things.
talking about.
And there's the Michael Jackson fan out there on the internet that's going to zone in and
A
go, that's
lot
not
of
what they
them.
used for bad, or that's not what.
100%.
So
Well,
we had
the
to be
music
on
director,
that.
was he helpful to you?
Absolutely.
John, was that his name?
Yes, he
Yeah.
was a beautiful human. The best compliment I ever got off that film was at the very end. He said that we were the best. He does nothing but music movies, and that we were the best.
Oh, John, the music supervisor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great.
He says that, it was easiest to work with us for that because
That's great.
we wanted
because
it right.
he had just done, he did
The Queen movie.
The Queen movie,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
And he's a
doing
guitar player
Bee Gees.
himself, and
Yeah.
he was
Brit.
great.
He's a Brit, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
he's
a
great.
Brit.
I liked
Yep.
him a lot.
Well, was there some sort of like for the concerts, did you guys shoot in a specific order for a reason? Like, was it like the Beat It era, the Victory? You said you started with Victory, right?
We started with Victory, and then I think we did Bad, and then we've done a couple of other, I
Right.
can't say what other concerts we did,
Right.
but it was...
I guess what I'm
Wow.
asking is, was it chronological? Like, did you guys move in time with
They
it, or just
did
kind of
it
whatever?
for makeup, hair,
Sure.
and,
Yes.
and sets,
Yeah.
you know.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Of course.
it had to...
So, did Jafar sing? Was it him
He thinks
singing?
so. Ed Novak, our sound guy, I think the first thing he said to me is like, we're going to need to record his voice. I'm like, yeah, but we're not using his voice, right? And he's like, no, but he has to sing in order to lay the track down. They need to get the vibration.
Sure.
They need to match it all. And I'm
'Cause
like,
it looked
understood,
great.
understood. So every one of our microphones that he spoke into, except for Billie Jean at Motown, but that's because actually that was a lip syncing and we matched
Yes,
that too.
yes.
Right. So he didn't really. So we didn't have to
Right.
make that because those were not practical microphones either.
see.
But in the microphone that he uses does not exist anymore. So I had to have it made, and we hollowed it out. And I think it was Michael Glenn who had found this little tiny wireless mic that we could put
Nice.
inside of it, and Ed and those guys would switch that out, download the
Right.
recording. Yeah. So
I tell you, those first 2 weeks.
Talk
were
about
the best 2
jumping
weeks
in.
of my
best 2
film
weeks.
life, though. The best. It
Those
was
first
like
2
being in
weeks
a
were-
concert. I mean, I'm
Yes.
jealous that you got to go to Victory, but I really wish that you would have come on set for that.
Well, I
And
got to
wish
see
you would have
Billie
come on
Jean
set for that.
Guys, it
Thriller,
was like
that was
being
cool.
there. It was
Yeah.
like being there. Like we were all.
Well,
gave
how
you
many
all the-
background were there?
600.
Yeah, I mean,
What do
each
we
day was
do?
different, but obviously with CGI, they were gonna.
Of
mat
course,
it.
but
You got
real
to tell them
background.
we had so many learning curves with the BG because at this moment, the very beginning, and you know this, we could not have scripts.
Yeah.
We couldn't have schedules.
Right.
We couldn't use our phones.
Secret.
You can't take pictures.
Secret.
Right.
Right, couldn't talk to the director.
You can't, yeah, I mean, it was like, okay, let's just add another layer of difficulty when you're, shooting all of these things and you're like, okay, what, I don't have a script. So we couldn't have cameras, we couldn't have phones. And when the BG came, and it was very much, how are we going to wrangle their phones? We can't let any of this imagery get out
Right,
there.
right.
Well, they figured out fast to start putting film in our film cameras.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, they got caught.
They got caught. We don't know. I don't know how much
Wow.
is out there right now about which ones we didn't catch. But it was like, Gabe, you can't have working. I'm like, well, they're film. I mean,
They were sneaking. They were
what am I
sneaking.
gonna do?
Yeah, that's
like
crazy.
glue them shut? I don't know what else to do.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, like Julie and I are up on the stage, and then there's part of the prop crew dealing with the BG, and then we're seeing things. We saw things from the stage they couldn't see,
Right.
other than monitors. So it was like interesting to like pick out, like, oh, that sign might want to be better there, or whatever. But then from their side, they could see stuff to help us with the instruments.
So-
like, oh, that looks,
And then
Right.
Gabby, so Bob Johnson, Gabby, they were in, and Bree Blount actually were in on the floor, watching them, and, because you got to keep an eye on them. We had these little fake candle things. We had signs. We had
A lot of 'em.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
them. And T-shirts, and it's like trying to get that stuff back.
And the
at
other
end
thing
of the day.
about background with phones is that it's period. So if somebody whipped out their phone in the middle of
Yeah.
shooting, then you'd be like, "What's that?" That
Yeah.
would be a
But I
problem.
would just say that.
So, well, let
those-
me get this straight though. You did so your 35 millimeter vintage cameras. The extras were showing up with film,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
shoving them in
Yes.
the camera, shooting them, and taking
And
the
then
film.
even
out.
in the instamatics,
In the
I mean,
instamatics.
everything.
Wow. So
whatever they could do.
So
Yeah.
you recycled the same background for the whole time you were at the
Yes,
concerts?
pretty much. Yeah, no,
So
we
they
did.
got smart fast.
And it was also ones in Japan. Next thing you know, where we'd
Right.
see, we're in Japan in 1986, or wherever, in
Yeah.
England, or
Right.
where. So Gay had to make sure that each sort of propage matched
Right.
sort of the country.
Yeah, that was a
Yes.
whole person. I think it
language.
was Jamie who had to decipher all of the signage because we can't do exactly
Right.
them, right? But
Yeah.
we were inspired by. So she made this nice, beautiful document of what the signs looked at like at each concert.
I see.
And then we hired Z-Donk and Lolliprops, and those guys made a bunch. We made a
Right.
bunch of the signs. Couldn't have enough of that stuff,
Yeah.
I know, right?
But that
It
was
just-
another layer, just not even on the stage.
Right, I
Yeah.
know.
But those 2 weeks.
And then behind the stage, we didn't
Oh.
really see a lot of that, but that was all decked
was-
out. Actually, Amy
yeah.
and the set deck team.
Really?
Killed
You
it.
guys had a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
Warner
we
Brothers
did,
brought
that's
a
right.
bunch of stuff. Just all the
the road
backstage stuff,
cases
the
and
road
all this.
cases,
Yes.
and all they had like the Michael, the chairs. They had all the equipment.
It was a nice blend between props and set dressing. It was nice to see that,
Well, Amy's
and
awesome.
with the
Yeah.
decorator,
I
the prop
love Amy.
master, they need to be in symmetry.
Yes.
But when I say that first 2 weeks too, it's like the job itself was daunting, but really, like Chris, it was magical. Like
Yeah,
the music,
it was-
like we were all,
just-
everybody was moving. Like
I
everybody
think
was.
when
Yeah.
the first thing when Jafar played, we're like, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?" Like
was-
we did
it was
not.
like it was him.
Even
It's crazy.
Antoine. I mean Graham. I mean because this was the first he's ever been full costume, full makeup on a stage with playback,
Yeah.
and we were like, "Are you
He's
freaking
mesmerizing,
kidding
Gene,
me?"
yeah.
And the drum
right
is really
now?
hitting. Like, so they wanted the drums. John wanted the music supervisor. He wanted to feel the drums.
Right.
So when those musicians came up and they're like, "Oh, I can really play," and they were like,
Fuck yeah.
And
And
so
the-
that was awesome too, because we felt it, the crew.
Yeah, no, it was. I
You
mean,
know, it was magical.
So Michael Jackson, one of his things, and I don't know if you can't really tell in the movie, but one of the subtle things that we would do, we were told, is that he loves it loud. So anywhere that he would perform, rehearse, do anything, he
Right.
had to have giant speakers by him, and you can't be loud enough. And Jafar told me that, and he said, "I want it really loud." And because
Yeah.
that gets him into, he gets out of his
Sure.
head, he becomes in, and it was like, so that's when we're telling our guys, especially from SIR, make it, when they're like, well, we got you, you know, and so you're hearing
Yeah.
all of this,
Pierre and
you
Scotty
know,
were
while we're
cranking it.
there, and I
Keep you
mean,
awake at night too.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
You
after a
guys are
full
doing
day,
some crazy hours.
yeah, after a full
Yeah.
day, you felt it. I mean, it
Yes.
was loud.
Yeah.
But and it was also kind of cool to see things like Human Nature. In Human Nature, the live version.
Right.
There's this great thing with the snare that when he kind of stops and the snare smacks.
Right.
And that wasn't in the recorded one. So of course we did it a million times. But you started to feel that live thing.
Yeah.
And Jafar was so on it. Like. It was like at one point I went out in the audience just to see what it looked like from that perspective because I was
Right.
always behind, and I was standing next to Michael's son Prince, and he was like looking because he never saw his father perform. He was too
Right.
little.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
at
yeah.
one point,
Amazing.
and Prince is like one of the guys. Like he hung
Yeah.
out with us. He was there every day.
he was
Yeah,
a roadie
he
was like a
on the
roadie.
Victory Tour. No, we gave it. Well, he played a roadie in the Victory
Yeah, he's
Tour.
super cool
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
He's
that's
just
so
like very
funny.
everyman.
Yeah.
But at one point when we cut, I looked at him and he was shaking his head, and I said, "Must be kind of weird seeing your cousin play your dad with another guy playing your uncle, and that guy's
Oh,
playing
yeah.
your cousin's father." And he was like, "Yeah, it's surreal."
Yeah,
Pretty
he
crazy.
was cool. I remember in pre-production, he came through the office and literally walked up to everybody and introduced himself.
was great.
And shook their hand.
What
Just a cool dude.
Right.
What a prince!
Yeah.
What a
I'll
prince.
just say it. He is a fantastic person. I really do wish you would came, but you were so busy pulling
I was so
everything
busy
for
doing
us.
everything. No, but you did get me on the Pasadena at
Yeah.
the Civic Center.
Oh, that was an
and,
amazing day too.
Yeah, I think I've probably said thank you 100 times since
You
then. I will
did.
say it 101st time. That was it was amazing. I mean, you said it, Jafar. Because I went in, I walked up, and the security guard, like I'd never been on a set like that before.
Yeah.
You know, I'm come from the music industry, so stages and all that, sure, a billion times. Movie set a little different.
Yeah.
And so I don't know exactly the etiquette. I'm kind of trying to be cool. Security guard's not really letting me in at first. I'm like, I'm looking for a gay pro. Okay.
Yeah, you were my camera tech.
Yeah, I was the camera tech. I know.
Those
Yeah.
are heavy.
Oh man, and then we're even our camera tech.
It's all downhill from
No,
there.
we had the video camera.
We had
You
the one
did,
that's
and
right-
I did have to make you help us.
Well, no, that's a fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, when I walked in, I heard the playback for Billie Jean, right? And they were kind of rehearsing a little bit, and I walked in, and the first thing I see is Jafar do the moonwalk, and like I got chills, like hairs that I didn't even know were on the back of my
Yeah.
neck stood up. I was like, oh my god! And I watched him do it a few times, and this voice in my head said, this is the closest you can get to time travel. I was like, that's true.
Yes, yes.
That's true because
yes,
all the
yes.
people were coming in. Yeah.
Remy, you know what the video guys did? They sunk up Michael's performance.
Yeah.
Like if you were backstage, there was the video guys next to a different monitor,
Oh, wow.
and they had the real Michael on that of like
Right.
from
Yeah.
that
Yes.
Motown thing, and then people were like going back and forth. So it was like you were watching Michael, then you were
Yeah.
watching Jafar, then you were watching, and it was like.
That was
It was
remarkable.
crazy
Yeah.
how like
I
note
know,
for
but
note it
speaking
was,
of-
you know.
We had your cameras there, but we didn't know. It was just one of those things like we probably should have, because this is broadcast, right? We should
Yeah.
probably have the cameras. No one really talked about
Right.
it. We're
Yeah.
like, let's get them. You guys had the right camera, and we ended up, because Dion is amazing, he's like, oh, is that another camera?
Yeah, let's use it.
And let's use it, you know?
But I'm definitely more the music guy, and I was sitting there. You were sitting with me in the audience,
Yeah.
and you had to go do something. You're like, I'm just gonna leave you here, and I was like mesmerized. The camera's
Yeah.
flying over my head, and I'm like, this is so cool. And my phone starts blowing up. I'm like, why is my phone blowing up? And I look, and it's Paul. I'm like on message 12 from Paul, or something. I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, bro, dude, the fucking camera guy. I'm like, oh shit.
Well, that's because Dion wanted to use it. We're like, we need to figure out how to get this,
But then
you know.
I had to run up on stage, and Paul's there, and so what was happening was the hydraulics, and
Yes.
I think this was a nice. I don't know
They
if
were
that
so
was ours,
heavy,
but-
man.
Yeah, it wouldn't stay up.
And if the hydraulics weren't
yeah,
strong,
yeah, yeah.
And so we're pulling knobs and all these things, and the gauge is not doing it. I'm looking at it, and then I hear the worst thing I could have heard. Let's get the background back in. I'm like, oh my gosh! And now all these people are coming, and the past is catching up to me as I'm trying to fix this thing, right? And I remember, I think it was you. There was the actor there who was playing the cameraman, Paul grabs like a 2x4 and he sticks it up against the kid's leg. He's
Yes.
like, you're gonna hold this with your fucking leg.
That's so great. That's so Paul. That's so Paul.
Well, you got to do what you got to do in the
Yeah.
moment because they're going to roll, and you don't want to be the one
Yeah.
that keeps them from
No,
rolling.
no,
I don't want
no.
Antoine coming out and be like,
No.
"Why aren't we rolling?"
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Hey."
And
Paul, I was
on the
dying
trail.
laughing.
Yeah, yeah.
I couldn't wait to see the
Yeah.
movie to see. I was like, I turned to my girlfriend. I was like, you know, that guy's got a piece of wood like next to his leg.
How great that was your first experience.
It was
though.
I know,
It was
right? It's all
crazy.
downhill
It
from
was
there.
crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and you're in the exact place where this
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
And I think
No,
we
it was-
all like.
Well, and
It was
exactly
amazing.
that was my experience too. Again, thank you for bringing me out on the night they did Thriller. Okay, because
tell me about that.
I grew up with that. I mean, that was like the first giant music video.
Like the
that
first
I-
short film I ever saw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%. So to be downtown Los Angeles in the exact same spot at
Yeah.
that time of night doing it, and like you said, they have the monitor of what we're shooting next to the monitor of the playback
Yeah.
of the actual video, and it was like you couldn't tell
Shot
the
for shot.
difference,
That's
and it
amazing.
was incredible.
And there was
That
so
was
much
a
to
lot
look
of
at.
fun.
I mean, yeah, that night, I mean, it
You
was like
can't wipe, you
goosebumps
could
all
not
night.
wipe the smile off of anyone's
No,
faces.
yeah,
I
you
think
couldn't.
everybody kind of
Yeah.
knew at that moment we were doing
Yes.
something like meta, ridiculous,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
And-
Even Dion, the
and it-
cinematographer, doesn't break much. And after he watched the first rehearsal, I remember him going, "Whew, that's really cool."
That's really
That's
cool.
really cool.
I mean-
A lot of rehearsal went into that. I mean,
A lot of rehearsal. The choreographers are the same choreographers.
Oh,
I think
wow.
you guys know that had worked with Michael.
Rich and
Right.
Tone.
Rich and Tone. Jafar at his best game. Bill Corso, who our makeup artist, who worked on Thriller,
Wow.
is our head makeup person who did my. So the whole thing had such
Yeah, they put him
a
on camera to go out
connection
and do it.
of. We had fun with our little. Our sound equipment, and we had the giant slate,
right.
and we had
And the cameras on the dollies.
the
and
cameras on the
film
dollies. Oh my
cameras.
God, the
That was
sound
great. The
equipment,
smoker and-
the smoker,
Oh,
Yeah, the
right.
smoker, the big
and the
fans,
tab, the tab
wardrobe.
can
Right.
for.
Like basically, yeah, the tab can. It was
yeah.
basically us doing what we would have done if we worked on a music video in 1982. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
Like it was pretty
and it was
interesting.
one of the last sets that we shot. So there's also we can enjoy ourselves. There wasn't like a daunting 3 more months of filming or anything. It was definitely
Right.
one of the last things. So
right.
It was a fun night, and it was really cool to. I mean, Jafar takes your eye, but when we were there all night, so I found
Yeah.
myself
Two
sort
nights.
of
Yeah.
2 nights, breaking it down and watching the other dancers too. And you see some of those women that were dancing in heels. And they're zombies in like dresses with heels,
Right.
and I'm like, how are they doing this over and over? And they're professional dancers, obviously. But it was really cool to watch their process and
Right.
how they got into it.
no, it was
It
a
was
pinch
cold
me
that night,
moment.
I
It was a
remember
pinch me
too.
moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it really
yeah,
cold
yeah.
moment.
Did you guys find, because of Jafar was doing such a great job of really embodying Michael, and there's so many people that were involved with Michael's life, like did you find moments that like it got like heavy, not heavy, but like oh my God, this feels so real, like maybe would people get emotional like seeing Jafar kind of recreating those moments?
I think Prince probably got a little emotional when we were at Neverland. It was such a wild, tender moment. We're all waiting for, Jafar to walk, to go to this theater, and we were standing there waiting for him to come, and it was like, is that Michael or is that Jafar?
Yeah,
It
a lot
was,
of those moments.
It was just that, like sometimes, because this is his bad era, which I think is his.
Right.
You saw that last
Yes.
night. It was like, it is so iconic. That look is ingrained in. And I think for Prince too, was like, wow, that was
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
what is that like? I don't,
Right.
couldn't.
When was Prince there? When he was a little boy, right? When
Right.
he was like. Also, I think with the I don't want to mispronounce it. Is it Villago? How do you say it correctly, Gay?
Vitiligo.
Vitiligo.
right.
Vitiligo. That's my Rhode Island accent. I apologize, everyone, in the medical community. But when we did the Off the Wall record release,
Right.
they redid Tower Records, like literally on like Burbank
Yeah.
Boulevard. But like the first time he's seeing specks on his hand,
Right.
and they don't show it in the movie as much, but there was a lot of like this of like, what is that on my hand? And then we did another scene. I think the last night of filming where he's in the bathroom and he's like scrubbing his
Oh, yeah.
hands.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking like what Jafar was like. At one point he said to me, "Can you imagine like my uncle? Like this was like he thought it was like." Just a temporary,
Right,
and
right.
you're scrubbing and it's not coming off, and I felt like he sort of what his uncle was going through, especially being such a recognizable person of the material, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that was pretty interesting to watch that happen.
I'm sure there was a lot of cathartic moments for that
Yeah.
family on that set.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
with Joe Jackson, yeah, right.
we met Catherine. She came to the,
Oh, brilliant.
and
With Latoya.
Latoya. Latoya looks amazing. But I think that kind of brought the tears. I mean, I was a babbling mess anytime anybody wanted to talk to me about anything, because I would just start crying because it was emotional. It was, and I think it was emotional for everybody, especially when you're talking about bringing Jennifer Batten and Sugarfoot, you know, and these guys would come. That added that extra layer of, this is what we're doing it for. This is why we match everything, right? Because
his face, Gay, Sugarfoot's face before he came up on the stage. And Emily Joe, one of our propertons, is a drummer, and I was like, go meet him. And she like didn't want, she was all nervous to go meet him. But like you could see his face when he was down at the level below the stage looking up at the kit, which was his kit in a sense, and you could see his face, like you could see the memories going through that guy's. And then when Jennifer Batten came, Gay was like, Jennifer Batten's here, show her the Ibanez, and so I got to go find her. And I was geeking out on guitar because she's a great player. There weren't a lot of female players in the 80s like that, and that was someone that I was like,
she's such a cool
she was so
person.
cool.
Oh my
she
God.
came down, we showed her the guitar, we talked about the Beat It solo, I asked her, I said, because she was always in these big elaborate outfits, like really elaborate. And I said to her, I said, A, how are you playing that solo standing up? And B, how are you playing it with all that stuff on? She goes, every night was a challenge. Every time I had to just get used to sticking it on my hip or whatever she could do. And then she told me a story that when they were rehearsing, they went to SIR and Van Halen was rehearsing there.
Oh, wow.
And she went in and she poked her head in and Eddie was in there. It was during their Beat It rehearsals or whatever, their bad rehearsals. And she went and she said, hey, she introduced herself, I'm Jennifer Batten. And Eddie said, oh, you're playing my solo every night. And she said, yeah, I am. And he took off the Frankenstrat and put it on her and said, play it. And she was like, jeez. And she said, first of all, it was like a lot really big for her. But she said, here I was in front of Edward Van Halen. And he said, I forgot it. I forgot what I did. And so she played it for him, and she said that was a huge moment for her.
Bet.
And then we showed her the Ibanez that Gay had gotten for her, and it was like pretty much a great replica of what she played, and you could see her face, again, like Jonathan Moffat, the memories, and she couldn't even describe to us what she was feeling. But you could see in her eyes, like, wow, this is taking me back. Like, that's a cool moment.
Doubles on any of these instruments? These hero instruments?
We did not. The fact that we had singles was quite the, we had strings and we had Paul that could fix. One of the things, some of the guitars obviously you couldn't find or whatever, so we would buy inexpensive guitars and make them look as close as possible. So some of those were new, made to look old. I think Batten had one, it's not the guitar from Bad, it must be, either it's Down and Dangerous, but it was when she was getting popular and people wanted to make her guitars for her. And this one artist painted on her guitar.
Oh, right, yes.
And so even though Batten had given me clearance, because this artist had done it, I'm like, I can't just use your clearance. Can you hook me up with the artist who did this? And we found her, and she, at the nick of time, she said, yeah, do it. And, she's a wonderful person.
It was the dangerous one, Gay, you're right.
It was a dangerous one, yep. And our friends over at ISS Graphics kind of recreated it and laid it on to those guitars.
Also, shout out to the people that did the drum skins too, right? Was that
that
Universal?
was Uni.
That was Uni, right?
Yeah, we used every person in town and hired a lot of people in town, but every vendor in town.
Well, some of those, there was a couple guitars and basses that, when you're like, do you guys have anything like this? And I was just looking at it, I was like, you're not going to find that thing. Like, there was that one Hamer with the split.
Found it.
You found it?
Yeah,
oh my God, it was a nightmare.
Well, between Reverb, eBay, Future Music, Anthony Marinelli, who I think you guys had talked to him about stuff, he had some music. Pam got us in touch with Brian Kehoe.
Oh, yeah.
It was just, I don't have it, but let me show you this. We don't have this, but we have this. This person might have it. And it was just that. Just
the Rising Sun Strat.
All the synths. It was just, I don't even know how it all came about.
It's also flashbacks too. Like some of our crew was a lot younger and didn't really grow up with it, whereas Gay and Julie and I and Bob, we grew up with it. So seeing that Rising Sun guitar, remember how big the Japanese Rising Sun was in the 80s at one point? Seeing that guitar was either for David Williams or the other guy, I can't remember his name, but seeing that guitar that I saw in those videos when I was 13, for me at least, I was geeking out on it, and it was like one guy played upside down like Hendrix, but still left the strings upside down. Like Hendrix
Right.
used.
Oh, right.
Remember that?
Yes,
and we
yes,
found out
yes,
like the
yeah,
night before. And he
yeah.
was like, "No, you don't understand." He's like, "It is a left-handed that's a righty, but
He plays it.
I play it upside down."
Wow.
And I was like,
See, that's just some of the stuff that we
Yeah.
wouldn't know until
course.
like the moment.
Till the
And
moment.
Until the
it's- I
person
feel like
showed up.
At the
here's
bottom.
the thing that's so
Right.
funny.
At the
I
top.
feel like you were on this because we had a gold room in the back of the stage.
Yes.
And constantly when we would do a rehearsal and we'd be setting up for the next gig, I'm like, shit, we don't have pedals. We don't have, Remy, Jeff pedals,
go
Remy.
running down the music
yeah,
aisle,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. No,
those Boss pedals? I
so
brought
you
my own
were,
personal
you were
pedals.
on my computer and on the phone in the back, and so
Yes.
when they would be setting up, we don't have this, we don't have this. What about we? You
Yeah,
know?
like things just came to light
Yeah.
no matter how much
Yeah.
research Gay did. There was certain, when they came in and say, well, some of the actors did their own research, which was pretty cool. And they'd be
Yeah.
like, there were like distortion
It's like-
pedals set
and
up.
we're only going off of photos,
Yes.
right?
Right,
And if
right.
it's not in the
Yes.
photo, I can't tell you. Or we didn't have tech advisors.
We
Right.
had to
guiding
get
us,
pedal
you
boards
know.
that were 80s pedal boards.
Right, which
so it
is
was
the
like
whole
your
thing.
distortion, your chorus,
Yeah.
your flanger, your wah-wah. And even though they weren't really using them that much, they were there. And
Yeah.
so it was kind of cool that we went on the fly.
You cobbled together a
gotta
bunch
get
of
those
stuff.
boxes.
Yeah, you
Right.
sent those
You
pedals.
know?
I brought my
Yeah,
own personal
yeah,
pedals
yeah,
from
yeah.
home because
Right.
mine were from way back
I
then
think you guys
too.
ended up with one of my delay pedals, actually.
Yeah.
I think one,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm sure that you guys were pivoting constantly.
Well, no, it was,
Okay.
and it was never ever prepped. I mean,
Right, because
completely.
you didn't have a
don't-
lot of access
Yeah.
to the director.
And also, I just want to tout her. Whenever they
my
did
God.
scouts that I wasn't involved, like Julie and I weren't on those scouts. She was on the scouts.
Right.
But when they did the scouts, like on a shooting day,
Right.
where they'd say all department heads come with them and they're going to go to. Gay was the one that they always. Sorry, it's true. Gay was the one that they all referenced all the time.
I'm sure.
Hey, Gay, but because they would talk about it, and then Gay would about her book and go, well, and then they
And
go,
then
oh,
it
yeah,
became
Gay's
like
like-
just rely upon
Yeah.
that book. And, Lance is the best researcher
Yes,
on the
100%.
planet.
She had everything,
But
so
I
they
walk
could
around
reference
with
it on
my,
these little
you know,
scouts.
research.
Like on the day scouts, they were
Right.
constantly referencing what Gay had.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so awesome that, she was sort of the one saying, like in the hospital, with
Right.
all that stuff after the Pepsi thing.
Yep.
Like she
Oh, yeah,
had
there
all the
was a
medical
moment
stuff.
where we were going to shoot that during the day. It's like, this is at night. He comes
is
in
at
at
night,
night.
yeah.
One of those things
That was
reminded
Halloween
me
to shoot.
of,
I'll bet.
what was I thinking
So
about?
much background.
Oh, Studio 54 too, Gay. Remember, she
Oh,
prepped
that's
the hell out of
right.
it, and then Antoine came in the morning with a big book that was all Studio 54 references. And so he was looking at the book with all of us and literally saying, okay, I like this, but none of it was talked about previously because
Right.
someone probably showed him this book. And,
Sure.
he's a director. He was inspired organically.
Right.
And so Gay was like, okay,
Rock and
we're
roll.
going to get a bunch of stuff. And,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a lot of
On the fly.
on the day
Yeah.
gathering
Yes.
of
Yes,
stuff.
I
There
know.
was a challenge every day of what he was going to come up with.
Right. Well, I
Yeah.
know, because I'm friends with Tina Sherrod, who
Oh God, Tina!
did the graphics for the show. She's the queen of graphics.
She's the
so
queen.
She is.
I
Yeah.
know that she was jamming stuff out all the time. So, and the graphics
And
were
you-
amazing.
She had couldn't do too much prior to us, right? Because a lot of things had Jafar's face on it. So
Right.
you can have a placeholder, but she did everything she possibly could before I even started, which was amazing.
Yeah.
All of the badges for the concert
Yep.
tours were all done. The Jehovah Witness stuff
very
were all done. I
proactive.
mean, no, you do not have to ask Tina.
No.
That's the beauty about her. You don't even have to provide her with the list. She's got it.
Yep.
That art department was really great in working closely with us, the research. We felt like we were a great team together. But Tina, once we started getting, this is another very difficult thing. I don't know how boring this is, but we knew that they were going to alter Jafar's face
Right.
with VFX.
The noses.
So
and
we
stuff.
will never have a complete album cover if
Right.
it's not, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And then also
That's
I
a
needed a whole
challenge.
bunch of autographed pictures for
Right.
people to sign. But we don't know, so we had to pick photos out where you could get away with it not being perfect.
Right.
And especially the album covers, I think the first one was
Off the Wall?
Off the Wall,
Off the
was
Wall.
like, is this the look? Are we VFXing it? Nobody knew that answer,
Yeah, I'm
right?
sure.
So she just did an amazing job at going by what she felt like by marrying,
Right.
the
Right.
two together, and then everything, you don't even have to question how authentic it is.
validity of it,
Everything's-
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Everything's perfect.
In that toy
was always
store, I
singing the
remember
praises.
reading that in the script.
Oh, God,
I'm
she
like,
killed
are
it.
we really going to do this toy store where he's loading up the
nobody
shopping
wanted
carts?
to admit. Nobody wanted to. We just could not fathom the toy store until we
Right.
had to. 'Cause
And,
it was
and
just
I think
so-
it was originally scripted that he was firing Nerf guns. I'm like, there weren't Nerf
Nerf
guns.
guns.
then.
Right.
There's a lot of that, Chris.
Yes, I
that
know.
wasn't around yet. Oh, but we don't care, and sometimes
Right.
we do care.
Yes.
I would say one of the biggest challenges was the toys because, as you know, in the script it was written about 7 different times he goes to the hospital.
Right,
You can't
right.
have the exact same toys every
No.
single time, and it was over years. And it's like, and I'm running out of period correct toys.
Yeah.
Then we start pulling out the stuffed animals.
Right.
You know,
Right.
the basketball, the stuffed animal.
You just gotta hold like a light
And
bright,
also,
and,
not
just
you
a
knowing
whole
how
light
much
bright.
was going to be seen,
How
they
much
would
was
have us
gonna be
fill all
seen.
these bags.
Yeah.
But then some bags were going to get
course.
opened, some of them weren't.
No.
But you
Oh
didn't
my
know
God,
which
it
one
was
was going to get
over
open.
and
That's what I'm
Or
saying.
what he was going to just go like this and
and
hand.
a shit
That's
ton
what people
of.
don't
they
understand
don't.
sometimes is that like 40% of what you get ends up on screen, and there's 60%
yeah.
more
Right.
kicking around
Just
in the
in case.
background.
Yeah, I was white knuckling it there for a bit because I'm like, that's not period correct. It was inspired by or some of these
Right.
retro toys, but because there was the volume of it, I'm like, can we
Yep.
just cut a couple of these scenes? You
Yeah.
don't know.
And Michael's
No.
room
You know.
too, Gay, and Michael's bedroom. You
Yeah,
guys
oh my
really,
God,
her and the
it's so
decorator really
many.
collaborated to make that. Like that was Michael's room where he
And
had
we didn't
all
know
the
if we
latest
had
All
gadgets.
the
Disney,
stuff.
you know, and it's all clearances. People are nervous,
Yeah.
right? And so, how many
100%.
times can we see Mickey Mouse? How many times can we see
Right.
the
Right.
video games? Can we
Right.
see the video games?
The Atari, yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, mentioning Michael's room, like thinking back to when I saw the movie, like talking about volume, like the whole movie has a lot of stuff in it. Like
It
there's
does.
a lot
Yes.
of things that you guys.
There's
have
a lot of
together.
layers.
There's
Layers.
A lot of layers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because this room's thick. I mean, there's a jukebox. There's there's keyboards. We had instruments in there. We had
Oh my
keyboards
God.
and percussion and yeah.
But also, I
Well,
think
you know what? Here's the deal. We would not have been able to pull this off. You guys did 90% of the Jackson 5.
Oh, nice.
I mean, starting with the gold dust drum kit.
Right.
Then
Yeah.
they get popular and they're in the red sparkle
behind you,
and
the
the
yellow
red
and
sparkle.
red Tesco, yep, yep.
The exact guitars that
Those
they had.
were a pain.
And then
That
this
was
is in
a
the photograph that Joe had that we
Yeah.
mimicked. I
Yep.
don't think that's in the movie.
yeah, no, it is. He plays it. He plays a little bit of
But
blues.
not the photograph of it.
No,
did
not
it?
the photo of it.
No,
Just
there was a
him
thing
playing
where-
the blues.
But it was like, are you kidding me? That's the
Yeah,
guitar.
and it's the weirdest looking thing, and I'd never, heard of this. I don't know if you'd ever heard of this brand either. These airlines,
Yes.
the old ones.
No.
Well, the airline, yeah, but this guy I'd never seen before.
Let me tell you, stringing that one on the left there is a chore.
It
'Cause I had to
looks
get
like
an
a
extra long
Yeah.
high E.
Really?
To see how high it is.
Oh,
how
yeah.
it goes up.
Yeah.
But really, the guitars really, like when we were in the living room with the Jackson 5.
Yeah.
And also,
and they're playing, and
They're
and we had the
playing.
amps worked, and
Remember
yeah.
Ed had us hook it up like
Yeah.
like Ed had us like Ed made it so that everything they played was going directly into his machine to record.
Oh, nice.
Into
Very
his
cool.
recorder, and like the kids knew it. And
Yeah.
I have to give a shout out to Erica Schaefer. She was the music teacher for all the kids and also the
Nice.
adults. And like when Tito first came in, they all got cast. You know, casting is it's always at the last minute.
Right.
When Tito came in to see me at Sony to get a guitar to practice with, I taught him how to hold a pick. Like he'd never hold a pick, but then because he hadn't started with Erica yet.
Right.
And then when Erica started, working with them, as we started doing more live stuff, I'm paying attention to what he's doing.
Right.
They were getting better and better and better. And I have to say, like, she really molded them
Yeah.
from, knowing, a lot of them knowing, some of them knew, but some of them didn't, especially Tito, who was the
Right.
guitar player. She really did a great job. Like, they got better and better each time. And it was like, wow, Erica, they're
How
listening.
great were
They put
you
the time
like
in.
the
Oh, they were
Jackson,
great.
the kids, and,
They were
and
amazing.
Giuliano.
Amazing.
Young Michael Jackson. That kid.
Giuliano, he's
Yeah.
a trip.
He was amazing.
He
Yes.
was amazing. He's an amazing kid. All of those kids were. I mean, they knew you didn't waste any time on them rehearsing.
Right.
I mean,
No.
they were dialed in.
were.
I think it's one of the things I'd say. Antoine had a great rapport with
He did.
Giuliano because he is a kid, and he's.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say precocious because that sounds insulting, but he's.
Well,
he's
he's a kid.
He's an entertainer
Yeah,
too.
he
You know what
has
I
to
mean?
be
And he's
precocious.
he's got a big personality, and him and Antoine had a great relationship. And he got there, and then Coleman Domingo, who comes in and just. He's a god, like, because he just
right.
shows up and he is the dad.
Commands
Yes.
the room,
And he had a
for
great
sure.
way of, I remember, we had all the setup and we kept it on and we kept it in there and we were like, we feel like the family would always have this stuff all around,
the living
right?
room.
In the living room,
Right.
In the corner,
and
yeah,
the-
yeah.
right. Also helps like Joe is, that's serious about this stuff
Yeah.
and rehearsing. But I remember the when it came to him spanking,
Yes, that was
Julian,
harsh.
and we had like a really thin piece
So
of
many belts, Gay.
we had so many belts, and then we had like little thin rubber paper thing,
Yes.
whatever we
Right,
can
sure.
mimic.
Yeah.
We did this a few times. Coleman never laid a hand on him. That belt never touched him. And you
Wow.
look at that and you're like,
No, he
it
looked like
looks
he was
like
Makes you
he's
feel it.
spanking
Yeah.
the shit out
And also
of him.
Coleman would sing like gospel songs or funny stuff in between takes.
Right.
Because then he would say to
Bring it
us, and
down.
by the way, that guy, I said to him at one point, I was like, you're having a moment right now. Like he had just done 2 movies before. He was doing that. And then I think he was going to play Nat King Cole. And he looked at me and goes, it's not a moment, Paul. I've been at it for 40 years. I was like, I know, you're right. But right now, I'm glad people were like, that guy's hot. He's in the Spielberg movie.
right.
But he really said that like it bummed him out that he had to be that bad guy.
Sure,
Even though
I'm
that's the
sure,
part.
because
And
it's
so
such
in
a
between
big-
takes, he would try and make the kids laugh. He would sing
Right.
some gospel songs, anything to lighten it up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, but
Yeah.
those kids,
It's heavy.
Giuliano, man, that kid is meant for the spotlight.
Right?
Yes.
He really commands the
and
screen,
Mia
for
had
sure.
such a soft kind of mom. It was just
Yes.
perfectly cast, I thought,
Right. No,
and
it
it was
was.
just, you can,
She was great at changing pace. Like
I think so
Yeah.
too. And they all kind of elevated when you get that famous or you're part of a huge famous family. I felt
Right.
like it was pitch perfect for them with the way they took their characters.
Right.
Also, like doing that little house, which was on a stage in Santa Clarita, doing that little house where everything was tight and it wasn't so big and it wasn't glamorous. That was interesting for Julie and I to navigate. Like I'm like following Julie's lead, like when we did food scenes.
That we could not
like
be in
Antoine wanted to
rehearsal.
keep things going, and you know how it is, Chris. You do a
Oh,
series.
God.
There was a lot of series. We're in that little kitchen. That little kitchen
Yeah,
was that
there's a lot- the
small.
food looked
Julie
great.
and I are like running in and out, trying to, because as prop people,
And you
we have to
can't
represent
rehearse.
gay. Yeah, we couldn't rehearse it with it. We want the food to look continuity right.
Right.
So we're like running in and out, whereas they're calling a series, and the AD would just say to us, "Just do it. Just come in and do what you got to reset." And we
Right.
do it. And then some kids are eating food, some kids
I'm
aren't.
like, but we
You
don't even know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Mid-meal, beginnings, you dropping it down. I mean, we have no idea. Well, just do it.
Just
Okay.
do it.
I remember
Also,
another Tina Sherrod story, because like, one of these things that they go, okay, we'll have him in there making a PB&J sandwich.
Right.
Like, okay, we have the jelly, but we don't have peanut butter. And Tina's walking by. I'm like, Tina! And
need a peanut butter label.
she's like,
Drink
give
on
it
the
to
label.
me. Yeah.
And she does.
And she did it.
Yeah, she did it on
made
Once
a
Upon a Time,
perfectly
too.
It got
was
crazy at
amazing.
times
Yeah.
with the last minute stuff.
And you had a lot of ice cream. I saw too many scenes with ice cream. That's always fun.
I did not do that. That was the amazing Trish Gallagher
Oh, okay.
Glenn who
That
did the
was-
ice cream
The reshoots,
scene.
yep.
Yeah.
I see.
Why we didn't do ice cream?
I
did
don't think so.
I don't
I
think
think we
so.
did maybe once in the kitchen with the mom and him when they were
see.
passing. I think that was us.
we? Yeah, we
Right.
didn't. We did it in the bowls, but I don't think we did it
Right.
in the.
I see.
I just want to say Julie's not here. I'm kind of standing in for her a little bit.
Sure.
But Julie's been running Set for Gay for over 25 years. And I want to say, like, as much as it was crazy, just like on Babylon, when things get crazy and there's a lot of people asking for a lot of stuff at once,
Right.
one thing that's great about Julie, besides her prop knowledge and how good she is at her job, is she always stays steady.
Cool under
my
fire.
God.
And so when things would get nuts,
That
and
makes a
and Gabe
huge
wasn't always
difference.
there, she had a huge thing to keep prepping.
Right.
So
Well, we
sometimes it
just
was
get
like
a list of props the morning
Well,
of.
yeah, I mean, she'd have to leave, and she'd
Well,
take
and
Gabby
you-
and them with her, and all of a sudden it was just Julie and I.
Yeah.
And I have to say, Julie, like, no matter how nuts it got, I followed her lead, and she always stayed steady.
Right.
And we just took it one thing at a time, and just sort of, because if you didn't stay steady and you didn't stay confident, at least game face confident,
Right.
it could have got away from
She's
you.
the most
100%.
organized and.
Yeah,
100%.
Julie really
Flipping
led
Saw
it
the
well
back
on
difference.
set.
and that was one thing that when we were giving out assignments in the beginning, Julie, this is stuff that I normally do, but there was no way I was going to do their personal props.
She was spread
Right.
way too
Their
thin.
jewelry, their
Right.
everything, besides the eyewear, that
Sure.
was me. But
Yeah,
she
Joe,
had
yeah.
her own desk and her own giant whiteboard, and she
Mm-hmm.
had pictures of everybody's, and she got their sizes. She matched their jewelry.
Amazing.
We all know that costumes did an amazing job on this, but we did a lot of
Sure.
A lot of
the
gray
jewelry, a
areas,
lot of
right?
the eyeglasses.
Yeah.
All the
Julie's super
straps and
organized.
stuff.
Also, Julie's used to running it by herself with not, and like it was, I had day played with them a bunch and worked a little bit full time for, a month here, a couple of weeks there, but this was the first time I was with Julie like full time all the time, and I had to sort of navigate. Normally I was day playing or on Babylon, I'd be there a lot, but then Gay would take me away to go do some other stuff. But I was with Julie all the time on this, so I had to navigate like not to step on her toes, to be there when she needed
Sure.
to be, to know when to back away.
Yeah.
And to her credit, even though she was always used to being sort of solo, she opened it up to me and was like, Paul, you do these, I'll do these. Like she
Right.
shared it with me
Yeah.
at times.
Which
and
is a big deal for her.
a big
I mean,
deal.
you know.
And I felt honored that she let me do
Yeah.
that. But also, it was a lot.
Yes.
Like we had
That's
to
it. One
do a
person
lot.
can't handle it all.
And also, there were times also, like, in the moment when your adrenaline's up and Antoine changes something, we kind of learned a lesson quick that we needed to call Gay. If she wasn't on set and she was prepping, there were some things that we didn't have the knowledge of because
Right,
everything was moving.
sure.
So
Yeah.
we learned a lesson quick that, like, we need to call Gay and say, they're asking for this to go on there. Is that
I got
okay?
a straight razor in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
I made an
From
antique
Joe?
store. I told everybody to move. I need a straight razor from this drawer.
If I ever
Give
go
it
to
to me.
prison,
And,
give me a call.
I mean, I learned it by making a mistake, to be
we had
honest.
to do.
She was like,
of the
call
gig,
me
right?
when you're going to do
thing
that
where
because
it's
that's
like
not the right
9
thing.
o'clock in the morning. Joe's going to be telling the big family meeting. Gay, we want him to have a fried catfish sandwich with hot
right.
sauce.
I saw that sandwich on his desk.
Yeah,
Yes.
9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my
Yeah,
lord.
it was
Not
like-
that
And
you
doing
can
the
tell
text
it was
machine
catfish.
gag.
Went down to
Yes.
Gelson's. Told the
Needed-
person in the back, you need to fry me some catfish, pretty please.
God.
Oh, the other thing
things
was
we
Gay. Was it
do.
Quincy Jones the night when they're waiting for them to come back with the Eddie Van Halen solo? They were like, well, we want to have Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles.
11 o'clock at night. I had just pulled away,
Yes.
and then I get a text.
We sent
Roscoe's
Emily Joe,
Chicken,
right?
Yeah.
Emily Joe, that kid, she flew all the way to Hollywood and back to the West LA just in time. And then all of a sudden she came running in with it, and there it was, like, and it was like action, and he was like eating it on camera as if
Wow.
it had been there the whole time.
Wow.
Things like that happening, you know what I mean?
That's like you
Yes.
and the doves, right?
The what?
the
Oh, the dove
pigeons.
enough.
Wait.
The doves. Oh my God, that's from the story from my first movie. I had to go get these doves, these pigeons that were all clipped. And that was my first movie. There was no animal wrangler. So we'd go to a pet store, and the woman who owned the pet store would wrangle 20 of them. It was for Isaac Hayes to have on a roof. He was like a godlike figure. And so then one day they changed the scene, and they said, Paul, go get the prop master was like, go get the doves and the pigeons. I was like, okay. I go running. It was like a 20-minute drive. I go running in there to get it, and the girl's father's there. And I go, sir, I'm the guy from the movie to get. And he was like, yeah, okay, go get them. And I was like, oh no, she cages them for me. They were in a huge thing. And the guy was, I guess, watching the shop for his daughter. He goes, I'm not touching those birds. You do it. And I was like, excuse me? So even though their wings are clipped, they can still go like 30
like
or 40
Rocky
feet high.
Balboa
Yeah,
chicken
I was
and
like
chicken.
Rocky with the chicken. Wrangling 20 of those and then putting them in and then racing back for the Isaac Hayes.
Because you're not going to show up empty-handed.
No,
'cause you're
ma'am.
Paul Baker.
Hell no.
No.
Well, that's a good segue into animals.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
talk about the animals in this movie.
Yeah.
Were there any real animals in this movie?
The llama was real, wasn't
llama
it?
Yes,
was
they
real.
walked down with the llama,
real.
yeah.
Which I think a couple of those scenes were not in there.
I hoped for the
maybe there's
giraffe. I was hoping
flash-
the giraffe was real.
No, I think
No.
I was on a show that we had the last giraffe, which was on The
Babylon.
Good Place.
Oh, The
The
Good Place.
had a giraffe.
Yeah, they won't let us do exotic animals anywhere anymore.
I don't think anymore, right? I mean, we had a
No.
little boy,
We-
right, in a suit. They were casting little boys.
Yeah,
We
to
did
try and
for
do
Bubbles. So
Really?
with yeah, you couldn't do the monkey or the chimpanzee. So we found, I think Michael found a really good stuffed chimpanzee that
Oh,
was
great.
right.
in the right size that he could hold it, and then our Jeannie Joe's, this woman I've been hiring for years, but she de-stuffed it and put like beans in it or something.
Oh, I see.
So that we can articulate the arms and have that weight to him, because
Right.
they're like, he's pretty heavy at one point.
Right.
So, and then when it came to the snake, we had to do the exact same thing with the snake. There's a bunch of scenes where he's got it around
Right,
him and all
sure.
that stuff, and then we had it puppeteered on the
Yep. Messing
on
with
the
LaToya.
bed. Yeah, messing with Latoya. That's not in there anymore. Whatever. What else? did
Things
we
that get cut.
The things that get cut. That's,
Anything that
could
cut.
be a book.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the animals are probably in post and CGI or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, we were nervous about how that was going to come out, but I think everything is
Right. So, but as far as stand-ins go, you had the stuffed chimp and
Yeah, and the snake and
Really tall guy for the giraffe.
a really tall guy.
yeah.
Like, Jimmy, just go stand back there. You'll be fine. What would you guys say was, all said and done, probably the most difficult thing to, or what was the most difficult scene to get together, do you think? To shoot?
I want to say that the stuff that's not in my wheelhouse at all are recording studios and having that equipment.
Yes, that was a
and
big
there's
part.
a lot of images of what they, Michael in the
Right.
recording studio. So matching that was a toughie.
As a
we
kid
got, and
and
I
an
have
adult,
to
right?
throw this credit out there. Matt Forger was one of the engineers on Thriller.
I see.
And he worked on every album after that with Michael. He was impossible to find. And through Facebook, I found this guy, Brad, who does this podcast called In the Studio with MJ. And he goes, Gay, I didn't start with Michael until later, but you need to contact Matt Forger. And I'm like, I know! What's his number? And as soon as I got his info, we were in. I was going to tell you, I mean, I had made a list of all of this, everything that was in there that I knew of. And he's like, oh, God, you did your homework, but let me tell you about this, this, and this. What a... he saved the day. I mean, did Westlake Studios, knew exactly where things, had the music the way it was. We had the tape to tapes, which you guys helped us out on all of that. Those
The reel to reels.
the reel to reels and all the tapes.
You know, we actually have some of I got to show you, Paul, some of the blue ones. They used to belong to Eddie Van Halen.
Oh, wow.
Coincidentally, yeah.
Well, Matt's the one that actually recorded Eddie doing the Beat It song.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean,
there you
and
go.
the
So
little
there's a little bit of
R2 speakers. He told us a story about those. He was there whenever the fire. There's a lot of stuff in the studios. I'm hoping that there are flashbacks. I don't know.
Yeah, so much good
but
stuff.
But there's so much really good stuff in those studios. But that was because we were in, I don't know, 6 different studios. You guys had the COS headphones.
Yeah.
That little.
That was a big deal.
Yes. Oh my God, those were amazing.
Those were amazing.
And also, Gay, not just
AKG.
adult Michael, but you were doing Giuliano, like when they first brought Michael into the studio as Jack's 5, he had never recorded. You know, the scenes where he's dancing with his feet, all those headphones, all those instruments, like Gay brought all that in.
Well, I was saying those COSs are you guys. We just sweetened them up.
Yeah, gave them a little touch-ups. They look nice. Yeah, they look great on camera.
And then those microphones.
That was cool.
That
doing
was
that
because
stuff.
it was daunting because it's not something that I'm not technical by any means. None of us have sat in and besides Dave was a recording, but that's all modern.
I've done all indie recording stuff, so this was like full-on studio recording.
We couldn't have done it without
the 80s.
Matt Forger,
Yeah, Matt was
who had to
hugely
be there, and he brought so much. Good, and everybody loved talking to him because you could pick him for a story. Oh my God, he had so many.
It was
good
such
stories.
cool story. I mean, the Eddie Van Halen one alone, I was like,
when I say I didn't have tech advisors, Matt Forger was definitely a
yeah,
tech
without a
advisor.
doubt, right?
Yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
he was
for
a
sure.
tech advisor.
Yeah,
And he was there, like to have someone that was actually there.
Yeah.
And say to us, hey, that was how this is
I
how this would
remember.
be, or even
Yeah.
this is how we would put things in the studio. This is where they smoke their cigarettes.
Right,
This is where they put their.
Well,
you
that's
know.
the funny thing, because we do this we run into this all the time with tech advisors on any show that we're on, where it's like you do all this research yourself, then you go there, and then there's always like some Yahoo, tech. SWAT guy or something to say, no, that's not right, and you're like, oh, fuck. But
I
these
know.
guys, they were there.
He was there.
And then
they were there. They got the
receipts.
receipts. And he would show me photos, and he would tell stories about Bubbles. Like, that's real, and he's like, yeah, no, Bubbles would go over there. I mean, it was just
crazy.
I mean, again, it was one of those pinch me moments. Like, I cannot believe the layers of this, but also getting it right. So it took a lot of pressure off, and then the writings on the walls was
yeah, that was a lot.
oh my God. So you read it and you're like, how much are we going to see? It's like, okay, well, I think it's like one wall, right?
Yeah,
of them. Yeah, no.
more than
Okay,
that.
again.
A lot of my writing, a lot of Gay's writing.
2 days
Hours on
before.
end, wow.
Antoine
Yes.
wants the entire studio full of writings. And again, what are these writings? Is it, and by that time we had gotten a little bit more comfortable with
More
figuring
savvy
out
with some
who
of the
was
info,
also, once you're Eat, Sleep, and Drinking Michael Jackson, you
Right.
can almost start thinking, what would he be writing on this? And you start, it's
Sure.
way better at that point. And you know who I will love is Gabby. She's our, oh my God, Gabby Pinanori. She's a little artist. And Michael was also a little bit of an artist.
doodle
and
artist.
a doodle
Yes.
artist.
Yeah.
And just having her, it's like, Gabby, give me something up here.
Nice.
Gabby, give me this.
Brilliant.
And
In
she
his
would
notebook,
draw on
she'd
this
draw
thing,
all
she'd
these
color
cool
this
things.
in a notebook, and she would do
That's
these
so
little
She's like a Swiss
sketches.
Army knife anyway, whatever
Yes,
game you
I know.
do.
You can
but-
have her do anything, and she's good at it. So filling those little spaces
Right.
up, and then
we have a story.
also, Ross McDonald. Have you ever hired Ross McDonald? He's a print handwriting
No.
kind of prop guy.
I've heard of him, but I've
And he
never
does
used
like Bibles, books,
Right.
whatever he can make it. So I had enlisted him early on and sent him Michael's handwriting. And I said, will you write me, I don't know, 1,000 pages of
Right.
lyrics and
Right.
things and pieces of lyrics and
Sure.
all that stuff. He did a great job. It wasn't enough.
Wow.
And then
No.
we're also like, what all the
Jeez.
kinds of sheets and paper. And thank God, when you were on, you had bought all this great paper,
Right.
spiral notebooks,
Yep.
all the
Index
little
cards,
notepads,
yeah.
index cards. We used all of that.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
It was like the never-ending. I mean, it was. I don't understand how it was just insane how many things. Still putting stuff on the board
While we were filming.
while we're filming. And he and I,
Gay is a very professional prop master. I just want to say that right now. But sometimes there's moments you have where you're like, she's like my big sister. You know what I mean? Like, so you want me to tell this?
yes,
So
I don't know if it'll translate. But
we're in the studio, and there's a scene where Jafar is just, we had apple boxes behind him,
Yes,
and
yeah.
he's like tapping away, and he's like
Right.
we had all the different kinds of pins,
Yeah.
and he's grabbing notes like index cards and taping them up, and a lot of it was references to lyrics in Thriller
Sure.
or any of the
Or
songs on
Beat It,
Thriller.
mainly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Gay and I, well, realizing that he's going to run out no matter how many we had, it just
Yeah.
was never enough.
Right.
So he was constantly, and then they were like, do a series. And for the people out there,
And
when
not-
you do a
and not
series,
stop camera.
yeah, you don't
Just
stop
keep
camera.
going.
There's no
Right.
Right.
cutting.
Yeah.
It's just doing
Right.
this.
So do a series, and all of a sudden we're
all-
running out, and so Gay is whispering things for me to, because I'm like running out of ideas. And so at one point she says something to me, and while we were rolling, because we had to kind of go as we went,
Right.
the camera's right here, the
Yeah.
boom guy's right here, and Jafar's right there. So I'm writing stuff, Gay's handing me stuff, and I'm putting them on the apple box like this, like while we're rolling. So Gay whispers in my ear, and I turn to her because listen, I'm a guitar player with deaf. I've had a walkie-talkie in my ear for how many years? I looked at her like all proud of myself. She was like, got it? And I'm like it was like a commercial. I was like, got it. And so then I write it down and I go like almost like, hey mom, look. And I was like, and she was like, no. I think we were doing it for Beat It, and she was saying tough enough. Like,
Yeah,
you're
tough
tough
enough.
enough.
Yeah,
Right,
tough
right.
enough.
Right.
And I wrote, I don't know why, Dove enough.
Dove
Like the
enough.
soap. Because I thought that's what she said.
It's not even proper English.
I turned to Gay all proud. I'm like,
Dove
this?
enough.
And she goes, no. And then it's like you're in church. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
we lost it. Like we lost it. We were
We
laughing
lost
so
it.
hard,
Oh my
and
Could not.
it was. I looked
Stop.
over. Gay had to like
What?
put her scarf in her
I
mouth.
was
to, like,
shoving my scarf in my
Yes.
mouth, my whole body.
like all I
And
could see was Gay's head like this with the scarf.
All I could see was when he just
like a reverse
I
clown.
got it,
I got
done
it,
enough,
done
and
it.
I'm just going, oh my
laughing
god,
so hard,
And-
and like of course you try, those little noises like.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And I could hear her, she could hear me. I literally was up against the boom guy, like leaning against
my
him.
God. And then
Biting
just-
it- I was biting into my finger. And then Julie, who's very serious and professional, we looked up and we both look up and Julie's looking at us going like this.
like we were in so much
what
trouble.
are
I'm
you
like,
doing?
She didn't know.
We were laughing so
And
hard.
it
So
was
then, of course,
so
we
funny.
cut, and Jafar turns. First, the boom guy's like, "Why are you drooling on me?"
Yeah.
And then Jafar turned around. He goes, "What's going on back there?" It was like a little miscommunication.
Yeah.
Everything's cool. So we kept
Yeah.
the
That's
card, and now
funny.
Julie has it on the cart.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
We laughed.
the proper
Dove
And
enough.
it was just one of those two because
You
it
need a
just
t-shirt.
released
Dove enough.
all of it.
Yeah, we
Dove
had so
enough.
much pressure.
Yeah,
We-
Michael was going to put, instead of tough enough, it was going to be dub enough.
Dove
You
enough.
know?
Because he's
I
just,
don't
you
know
know,
why. I don't know
checking
why I
himself.
thought
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'm going deaf.
Yeah.
But just the whole reassurance of like, I got it, boss.
Yeah.
Like all
That's
happy.
funny.
It was
That's
pretty
But that was,
And
I
also,
think, when Trish, when they did the, I think they did this in part of the additional photography, recreating that room.
right,
And I'm
yeah.
like, Trish, you're going to see a lot of
Stuff.
scribbling things
Yes.
that don't mean or say anything, but we were always promised, hey,
Yes.
we're never going to be that close up. I'm watching the trailer. I'm
Oh
like,
my
we're
God.
fucking close
I can
up
see my
on this
writing.
shit.
In the theater,
I was not tough enough. I know that was that's so funny.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I know, yeah.
but even my girlfriend was like, "That's your writing."
No,
I'm
we're
like,
never,
I
they
know.
were never
so
going to
funny.
see any of this close. We're going to do this VFX thing. I'm
Yes.
like, okay,
Right.
because I don't know what's in Michael's head, guys.
Right.
You know what
No,
I mean? I
right?
just
How
don't.
could you?
And yeah, and then I'm like,
And also,
oh,
as a prop
okay.
assistant, when do you get to really have a laugh attack with your boss?
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah,
you guys are
that
so
was
busy,
well
and also it
rolling.
was
Yeah.
towards the end of the shoot. There had been a lot of, and I know how she works. She does not stop. It is 24/7,
Right.
and so
job,
you know, for her to have like a laugh attack with me on set,
Yeah.
like and,
that
and
was
not
good.
have to cut. Like we didn't. There was no damage done. Like
Yeah,
no one knew what we
of
were doing.
course.
We didn't have to cut. But
Right.
like to have a laugh attack with her on set, it was almost like God, we needed that.
No
We needed
doubt.
It was nice
Yeah,
to
it
have
was
a little
good
moment of
release.
goofiness.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah.
So much pressure.
Another one for me was, and I had to tell Gay about this later, we had Mike Myers as the head of CBS, Walter or whatever.
Right,
his name
Yeah,
was.
that's
right,
right.
right.
God, that
So-
was a good scene.
I think it was your phone, or it might have been ISS, I'm not sure. We had a
Yeah.
phone where someone had to be down below, like clicking the little things so the lights go on the
Oh,
phone.
that sounds like
Because he
a-
says, get MTV on the line.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we're doing that, and over and over, and then he has to say, like, I'll pull Bruce Springsteen, I'll pull Cheap
Right.
Trick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for some reason, he couldn't remember Cheap Trick. Mike Myers, and I was on the floor underneath my
Nice.
chair, and I was like hitting the buttons, and we kept having to cut because he was like, why can't I remember Cheap Trick? And he's a comic, so he's riffing, so he would never, and then finally there was just one take where, I don't know why I did this, it was so unprofessional, but he was like, and then Cyndi Lauper, and I could see him going, and I just went, Cheap Trick. Cheap Trick! And then we cut, and I thought, oh no, I'm in trouble with Mike Myers. He turned and he looked down and he goes, thanks for that. I don't know why I can't fucking get that.
Under the table.
I love
Oh my
it.
God.
Like, those are the moments you don't
Those are
know
the
about,
moments,
you know what I mean? But
Yes.
he was like, thanks for that. I don't know why I can't get Cheap Trick. I'm like, I don't know, Mr. Myers. Like, sorry. Just came out.
That
was a great office.
I thought Amy in the set deck department, we
That
did,
office was
yeah,
great,
that
too.
office was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It just kind of brought you,
On
like,
stage.
never been in that set, but I felt like it looked familiar to me in a
So
way.
that scene downstairs in the streets of New York, where did you
Oh,
shoot
God,
that?
downtown LA.
Downtown.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then they
that was
CGI.
one of the end of the shooting schedule as well. We had that was a Saturday,
Wow.
that we filmed it downtown.
All those extras are real.
I was
All
going to
the
say,
extras
how
are
many
real.
cameras did you have out there that day?
a lot.
A lot. And then we had all the real cameras. That's another thing that one of the, I don't know if it translates so well. Early on, Dion, our DP, had said, Gay, I think we're going to try to do this thing where we're going to transition periods of Michael's life through cameras. What type of press was
Right,
it? Is it a
right.
personal, all that?
Yeah.
I'm like, got it. Dumb enough. And so trying to procure all of those different years of what the
Yeah.
press cameras
Right.
and individual
Yeah.
cameras and the
It's a
video
lot.
cameras and the broadcast cameras was a really huge thing. And we rolled with that, which took a lot of my budget. But that was going to be, and
Sure.
I have to
huge.
shout out to Bob Johnson on that, just keeping those in check because always needing to work, always needing to be charged, always
Right.
needing,
Yeah, I think people forget about the maintenance of a period prop.
Hello.
Yeah.
That's a
I
good
mean-
point, Gay.
Well,
I'll
that's
tell
the
you,
thing,
that's a whole.
I mean, you guys
Yeah,
do it here,
yeah.
but sometimes we have to do it like a
On
Bethel.
the
Remember
fly.
Josh with all the spears?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's like you have to
Just-
maintain that
just
stuff. 'cause
having
extras don't
somebody
always-
Yes,
just
it's like all
keeping
these
those
rubber
charged-
parts deteriorate and fall
Yes.
apart.
and the
And
extras don't always treat them
We
professionally.
did a couple
Yeah,
really
really?
cool VFX things with the cameras and getting in super tight and
Yep.
blowing up a bulb and
Right.
Those were great.
that was all like actually a lot of fun and when we were doing
At
the
$4.50 a pop.
yeah no shit when we did
Well, how many
the-
bulbs do we have left? You'd
Oh
always
my
be like, how many
God!
bulbs
How
do we
many
have
bulbs?
left?
How many bulbs?
Yeah.
The Motown stuff with the press there, you guys, my
Mm.
God, you
Look at
just
this.
killed it with all of
Mm-hmm.
those cameras and that matching exactly with those microphones that were there for Motown. And then we got a little later, Brandon and Sean just killed it with all those, press cameras from the Grammys when we did the Grammys.
right.
Yeah,
and
the
that
red
was
carpet,
like,
yep.
we've seen
So
that.
much
Oh yeah,
stuff.
the Grammys. I know we talked about this a little bit off camera. There's some juicy stuff there that maybe we can talk about later. But highlight another pinch me is having the real Grammys, Michael Jackson's real
Yes,
Grammys.
That's amazing.
Touching those, being
And
in
the arm
charge
guard that
of
came with
those,
them.
signing my life off with those,
Yeah.
and an arm
Right.
guard,
Yeah.
and
Are Grammys heavy? Like, do they slip out of your grip easily?
But they're not heavy, but it's gold. You know what I mean? Like you kind of know,
Yeah.
we had some.
Good thing you never
You know.
dropped one. Or anything.
Oh,
Yeah,
God. Ooh.
yeah.
Brutal.
well, that's a big fear. And then, one of the things like with Jafar, Jafar, I think, got just giddy knowing that he was holding
I'm sure.
Yes.
Michael's
Yeah.
real Grammys
Yeah.
and the the fear in all of us
Yes.
of having those around.
Jay
And-
was like to Julie and I, you guys are with these. You don't leave them. You don't move them.
Yeah.
You don't. And then the armed guard took his job very, very seriously.
he amped it up a bit.
A little bit, yeah. He
Yeah.
amped it up,
We
and then
had
he
one
loosened up
job.
towards the end because
Yeah.
he realized we were on it. But it was just like
I think about
was
that,
a
like
lot.
what would you have done during that scene? Like, would you have? I mean, because we got chastised by the still photographer. He goes, "I can't believe you're just putting these in his arms."
as opposed to
doing a rig with them, like
Oh.
attaching them together.
'Cause
But
you couldn't hurt them.
we could only get them the day of,
Right.
and we have to unpack them and put the stickers.
We have double stick and butyl,
You
right?
know, yeah. But
he had 8 of them in his arms. Is that it?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also we were trying to match the
we were trying to
photo.
match exactly
Right.
She
how
just
he
found
was
something on
holding
Instagram
it.
that, of showing us do it, and it was
Yeah.
like Gay and Julie, me handing them to him, and then Gay and
And we're
Julie
just
carefully
placing
placing them.
Right.
And then Jafar, in between takes, I had to hold his elbows.
Because his suit was
yeah,
massively heavy.
the jacket
So
was
all
heavy.
of just
Yeah.
holding this. So he got
They were
the
like
giggles.
this.
He got the damn giggles.
He
And
did
we're
get the
like,
giggles,
yes.
Jafar, no, you know, like,
But
no.
we would
And
cut
the
and
more
he's-
that you would
yes.
say it, he would, you know.
Yes. And instead of resetting them every time, the goal was to leave them in his
Oh
arms.
yeah, and Paul would get back, you know.
I would
it's
just
like
hold his
him up,
elbows 'cause you
yeah.
could feel after
And we
like
had
6
Bernie
takes he was
pads
shaking.
below
Right.
and everything, but I remember
Sure.
the still photographer going,
Well, they're
I can't
heavy,
believe
right?
you're just putting these in his arms like this.
What
And I'm
else
like,
were we supposed to?
was
That's
I-
right.
But
The
in your
estate approved
lane.
it, so you know.
I know, but I was like, should I have figured something else out? I don't know.
There's another pinch me moment too of like us being from that generation that grew up with Michael. Here I am
We all
looking
seen that.
at the engraving on it from the American
Yes,
Music Awards,
yes.
and I remember
Also,
like
you
being
know,
a kid
Michael
watching
touched
that.
them too, so you're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
touching something.
It was
that-
kind of crazy.
you
Like
know?
I remember seeing that in real life, and now here I am holding
Oh, God,
each
that
one's worth
was-
$1 million.
That's insane.
It was
And
kinda
no
wacky.
Grammy has ever been used.
Yes,
A real one.
first time.
We were the first time.
Wow.
Graham
Yeah, I know,
King
because I remember
procured
I
that.
looked into that in the beginning, and it was like, yeah, ISS had a knockoff one. It was like,
They had a really great knockoff.
yeah,
True.
Yeah.
but it
True.
wasn't exactly it. And
It
I
wasn't
would've-
exactly it, and would we get in trouble?
right. Well, that
You
was
know,
the
that's
thing.
the other thing.
That was the other thing
You
too.
you want them on your side, and that's why I think Graham, very good producer who no one's going to really say no to him once he turns that charm on and,
Right.
and pleads the case.
The English
and it
charm.
was just great to have it, and it
Yeah.
was also great for Jafar to hold
To know it,
Michael's
yeah.
real
100%.
freaking
It's the real
Grammys,
thing.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, but the cameras are flashing, and I think it was.
It was a wall of cameras.
And it was
It's a
all part of
very
a
kinetic
montage
scene,
of
for
that
sure.
stuff.
Talking about a
yeah.
lot of still cameras.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like a
Still
wall
cameras.
of them.
Yes.
That was an interesting night. Every day was, you know, out of all the jobs we've all done, you know, everyone has its special thing, but
Sure.
this one, because I think of the love of music, the love of his music, the fact that we grew up watching it in real life, and then recreating it, seeing Gay go beyond anything that she should have done to get it done. I'm sorry, it's true though. I gotta
It is
pop that.
true.
Wow.
But it's
Oh
so
my
true.
God.
She was our leader. She killed it. Seeing how Julie handled everything, how our team was, even
Yeah.
the gay players that came in,
Right.
they
Oh,
all
my
kind of
God,
just
yeah.
jumped in and did their best. And also, I will say this, even though it was whatever the budget was, 160, 200, I don't know what the budget ended up being.
Not enough.
It was, yeah, not enough.
Not for props, anyway.
I will say the crew, which all the crew was people that did big movies. We were
Right.
all
Oh my God,
people
we
that did.
love this crew
we
so
all
much. That's the one
bonded.
thing I would say.
Yeah. Like
You
an
If
indie
you can
movie.
ignore some of the
Yes.
other stuff,
Sure.
the crew, we fell in love with
Yeah,
each other.
we all bonded
you
like
know,
an
we
indie
did.
crew.
We all,
Yeah,
you
and
know.
it happens like that a lot when things are
great.
hostile. You know, or
Yeah.
when
Things are
it's
tough.
difficult. You know,
Yeah.
it is. It's like being in war together. You just
Yeah.
all have to
We all
hunker down
bonded.
and
Every
be there for
department
each
got
other.
along with each other. It was great. Dion was a great. Dion's kind of
Dion's
a
great.
quiet
Oh my God.
DP,
Oh my
but he's
God,
an
so
Australian with like
Yeah.
the sense of humor, dry wit, and he was a great. Like at the end, Gay and Julie and I were like, you know, who was like your favorite department head or whatever. And we were like, well, we loved everyone, but something about
Yeah,
Dion
Yeah.
stood out
Dion,
to us.
Yeah.
and he does.
You know.
And Antoine, he was a tough nut to crack in spurt. I would probably say for maybe half the movie. When I first met him, not so much in prep, it was very little bit
No,
in prep.
right.
We got a note at the very beginning from him, just make it real. He was like,
Right.
okay. 'Cause, you know, what else is he gonna, I'm gonna take the script and we're all gonna,
Right.
you know,
Right.
make it, you know, we're gonna replicate it. And that was the amount of kind of prep. And then we had, by that time, I think this was 2 weeks before shooting, if not maybe 3, because it was before the tech scouts. And he came into the room, and by that time we had about a wall twice the size of this, the length of this, and we had every bit of research chronologically with the
Filled.
sets
Wow.
of it. And Barbara Lean came in with him, and we had the ADs with him, and because that's the only way we could do this is if we saw it.
Right.
You had to be a part of it.
Yeah.
You had to see it.
That
You had to
timeline wall
paste
was
it on
cool.
the wall. You got to put it, and you got to
Right.
connect
Yep.
with it, because otherwise we're fucked. We're
Right.
never going to remember everything.
Too much.
And so this wall of, you know, of his life, right,
Yeah.
all the way up to, at that point we were doing to 93.
Right.
And I remember Antoine just soaking that in because he visually saw,
Yeah.
that's my movie.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
in
Right. In real
the thing,
life.
in real life,
Yeah.
and it's like, I hope you like it because that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, we're not straying off of anything
Right.
that's not there.
Right.
And
It's a cool prep room.
It was
It
a really
was
good
good.
prep room. It was
fun to
filming
look
out
at
at
that
LA
stuff.
North.
Yes,
You know,
I
pain in the
remember
ass to drive, but
Yes, it was a pain in
but the
the ass.
space
And
was
the-
great. to
Yeah,
have
great
all
space.
that
We were
kind
right
of
next to
stuff.
Horrible.
wardrobe.
Yeah,
so Gay,
right next to
you know,
wardrobe, and Marcy and
yeah,
I
with
worked
Marcy, they
really
could
tight
connect.
together. Yeah.
missed that
Oh, that
prep room.
I will have to talk about his eyewear because that was another like.
I'm sure.
Oh shit!
Sunglasses
Who
are
are those
important to
glasses
that man.
and who are
Yeah.
those glasses and who makes those glasses and you know
Right.
his 1983 ones.
We
you
did
know,
that
the
ECU,
iconic
that
one.
ECU,
Oh, the iconic ones,
from
yeah.
Right.
Remember when Julie had to get them so clean on stage where they were doing that extreme close up, like right here on his eye, what you were seeing the glasses come
Oh yeah, we
fold
had to have
around.
some with the mirror and
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's like so many different.
How about the glove?
The glove was all costumes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually,
Chris, his
it
hand
was the woman who she had been at Havenhurst and she was a seamstress and was a family friend. I
wow.
think she had made the first glove and then
Wow.
they had her make a few gloves.
Oh,
Yeah. So it was all, like I'm
brilliant.
saying, there was
I
all
love
this
it.
stuff that was there.
Family affair.
But one of the things was like, I'm like, who makes these glasses? There was no branding on them. I would kind of search and somebody would say, that's an aviator. And like, it's not an aviator. That's a Porsche, not a Porsche. That's a thing. Paula, Gimme Props,
Right.
found a pair of, and they had Thriller in
Wow.
in the
On the bow.
in the stem.
Right.
Yeah. But they were kind of shitty. They were knockoffs, right?
Right.
So I'm like, how many of these can you find? Because we need quite a bit
lot.
anyway. But they were not great. But had them dipped in chrome
Wow.
to give that
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
and they're not perfect, but they're good enough. I mean,
Right.
they like
They
I
looked
was like,
awesome
I
on
was seeing
camera.
they look good on camera. They fit him. It's like
That's
when
what-
we did a fitting with him, like, oh, thank God, thank God. But on a multitude of other, I mean, Russ obviously did a shit ton of,
Right.
with the brothers
Sure.
and coming up. I mean, it's just eyewear after eyewear after
And the
eyewear.
iconic shot of them all lined up and
Yeah.
they're doing like a raking shot.
Oh, and then
with
Antoine
all
at
the
one
sunglasses.
point. Antoine at one point goes, "Yeah, let's have them throw them in the audience." Like, no,
Yeah, please no.
I
Please
was like, no.
not
I was
that.
like, okay, we could do that if we
Yeah.
swapped their glasses out,
Yes.
all day long. Which we were prepared to do that, but we didn't end up doing that.
Yeah, that would have been bad. That
Yeah,
was
but
scary.
but going back to Antoine but it was kind of a game to kind of get him to crack in there and get in
Right,
there. And
sure.
I think midway through,
You totally did.
midway
Yes.
through, I think we got in there, and then these two had a ongoing thing with,
Cinematic.
but also playing your
Oh,
Eddie
playing-
Van Halen.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
the guitar
We-
stuff.
yeah,
But
we talked
Antoine's a
about that.
frustrated guitar player. He's
Oh.
only a little bit older than we are. And he said to me, I think we were recording Young Michael when he first went in to record. And, Barry Gordy's like, stop messing with your feet. You got to be quiet.
Right.
We were recording those scenes. And Antoine, I think I was noodling. I couldn't help, even though the boss said, leave the guitars alone. I was noodling all the time. Whenever
Right.
we had a break, I
I'm
noodled.
testing him.
You gotta noodle,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I would say. Yeah, I gotta test it. I got new strings on him. And so he saw me noodling and he realized I could really play. And he said to me, that's my biggest regret in life. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, I've always wanted to play guitar. And I said, Antoine, what are you, like 58, 59? And I was around that area. He was like, yeah. I go, you can still learn. Like, it's
Right.
a wonderful instrument. And he kept saying to me, like, oh, I missed my chance. And I was like, no, you didn't. Like, you're Antoine Fuqua. Like,
Right.
you can do whatever you want. Like, so I hope that guy learns how to play guitar someday
Yeah.
because he loves that instrument. And
doubt.
yeah, the whole thing with Dion was another whole thing that.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
we
yeah.
talked about that in our
Yes, we
podcast
talked about the
also,
other
we did
podcast.
have-
That's not the whole matter. But Gay was so cool to let me do that.
Yeah, that was
'Cause
pretty
I
I didn't
wanna,
have a
like-
choice, guys.
It seemed like it was out of your hands.
It was totally
completely.
out of my hands,
Yeah,
but I was in the
completely.
audience going, no, he killed it. He
She
killed it.
she said, you better prove him wrong
Yeah.
because he's challenging you. So if
Right.
you can do this, that's what my
That's
girlfriend
right.
did.
said.
Got to make the department proud.
I love
Yeah,
they built
yeah,
the
yeah,
stage for it. and
definitely.
everything.
Yeah, it was a
Well,
good time.
I mean, we could talk and
Oh, God.
on and on and on, but we have reached the end of our time, and some of our cameras are going down. So, so we talked it out. But that was awesome.
Chris, I just wanted to say really
Yeah.
quick, like Gay talking about cracking the director. Like every time I do a movie with Gay, she always says that she has to find that moment
Yeah.
where she gets in sync with the director.
Yes.
And sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's halfway through, whatever it is. Well,
Sometimes they never fall in love.
well, yeah. But it's cool, and you know this, Chris. You guys have to find a way to get
Yes.
into their thought
Yeah.
process,
100%.
and it's kind of fun to watch her do that, like
Yes.
and how she wins over their confidence.
And-
You know what I
Just
mean?
say
And
yes.
God bless you for that, because I mean, again, that is the number one reason why, well, the number two reason why I walked away from the show, was because I was told that I wasn't going to be able to have him until probably not in prep at all. And I'm
No.
like, I can't do that.
Right.
I can't work like that. And you are amazing, because you just rise to whatever the occasion is.
It's a challenge,
So-
you know, especially if they're aloof.
They're going to slow me down, Chris.
I know. You're like, get the hell out of my way, old man.
I
got things to do.
Funny how Babylon was first 2 weeks were the hardest weeks, and then here
Yeah.
the first 2 weeks was the
Yeah,
live stuff.
We just worked with, now I think he's my favorite director is Tony Gilroy. Oh
Nice.
my God, that guy. Love him. Another music
Right.
forward show,
Right.
you know.
I'm looking forward to seeing that too. Yeah.
But talk about wanting him to, you just want to be his friend. You just want to
Right.
be in his world, you know. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
This was an awesome job. This was an awesome. I always say,
Yeah.
whenever I thank her for the job, I don't just say thanks for the
Well,
job.
what am
or
I
the money.
doing next? Because you obviously are turning something down that they will pick up and go. I'll work with
She
crazy.
keeps providing with these like life experiences that
yeah.
are like
You know,
unforgettable.
I got to mention this: is you started it, you were on it, and then Trish finished it.
Right.
Yeah.
I survived the entire thing.
Yeah.
guys. So I'm just
Yes.
I'm just gonna say, I pulled things the whole way through.
There you go.
Yes, you did. You're the thread.
Just the
And also, if it wasn't
You
for
are
Issue for
correct.
Hire,
we had to pull. Well, this
know.
is why we grabbed this blanket. This is the from when Michael.
from the ambulance.
That's matches.
Yeah. You talk-
exactly.
that thing many times.
I ended up calling this the tragedy blanket. And then every time we'd get another reshoot for Havenhurst or something, I'd go grab the tragedy blanket, and I would just sit there and go, oh, God, again? So,
It never
yeah,
stopped.
if you're watching, this is the blanket
This
from
is
the
the
movie.
thing. Poor
It is,
Remy
yeah.
should have never given me his cell phone number because I
You
would
went
be
who's calling the other way.
Like, who's
nonstop.
calling? Oh, God.
I know, yes, and I'm like, and another thing, and another, and can we have this, you know?
No, it was
well,
so
my
great.
heartfelt thanks to you, Pam, the whole team. Richard, who did,
Brown,
who
yeah.
Pam had said, you know, he really doesn't come back and do a whole bunch, but he'll do it for you. And I'm like, thank God. I
Yeah.
rely on that guy so much. Never said, no, we don't have it, we can't have it, and turned us on to if we didn't have something that we got it. I remember that day that you and I went back and we pulled every single microphone and stand.
Yeah.
That I think it was 99% of the microphones that we
Wow.
had in.
Yeah.
bet.
And it was just a mess of just deckers. I'm just looking at it like,
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm even going to.
Yeah.
But we did it. I mean, that was intense. It was really cool. Though. I'm gonna thank you for 102nd time.
Yeah.
For everything on that movie, because it was really neat for me coming from music, and then for my first film
Right.
to be a music film of
well,
something.
that was your first kind of film that you.
Well, it was this and A Complete Unknown, so I got two
Wow.
music
Ooh,
ones right.
oh,
right
nice,
after, yeah.
nice.
I was just
I-
like, wow, thank you, the
That
gods,
was
the prop gods.
fantastic.
I was just gonna
Thank
say
you,
it's funny
thank you,
because
thank you.
as much as you got to like noodle on the set, I would have to take the guitars home just to make sure they were strung right. And
Yes.
just, record
Yeah.
with them a little bit just to make sure that Gibson sounded okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tough show for me.
What about all the? We didn't even talk about the American Bandstand with
No,
matching-
my
there's
God,
so
that's
much.
matching
yeah.
those damn things identical to
That was
the
a whole
set.
thing, and it's what a
My
great
God.
set too. By
That
the
was
way.
my first set. Yeah, I stared at that set for like half an hour.
That was at the
Oh, my
Muppets, that
God.
Jim Henson's.
We
Yeah.
do the
Oh, was it?
sequel.
Yeah, we got a
yes,
sequel now.
we did. Yes, I hope so.
Yeah.
But did the VFX guy? Did he call you? I gave him your number. He was looking for a World War
No.
World War II tent, maybe.
Or maybe he
contacted
did. I
Pam.
didn't know who that was talking.
Okay.
I don't know who was
Wes
talking
First
Sparkler.
returning guest.
Well, we're not
no,
PMGs.
I
We're
think
not.
somebody else has been back.
Okay.
But-
My, Josh Cheek asked me that. He was like, "Are you and Gay the first returning?" I was like, "I'm not sure."
You'd be like SNL. You'd be like, you get the 5-time jacket.
Oh, we
you
got
meant the first
Joshy Cheek coming in on the last month when Bob left. It
Yes.
was like, who's the perfect person? Josh Cheek was
We threw him
available.
right in the fire.
Nice.
He came in when it was wicked intense.
Yeah, and it was, we were so tired.
Yes.
He was not amused.
You know the funny thing too is at the end we're in the stage packing up all the stuff, putting it in storage.
Right.
Everything's empty. The sets are down, and that whole experience we just had together is all now in digital world.
tail
You know what I
end.
mean?
Yeah.
Like in
Yeah.
storage. And we just had the 6 months together that, or longer for Gay, that it was so
10
intense.
months.
10 months, yeah, it's so intense. And then it's over.
Yeah.
And then you have to pick up and go to
Right.
the next one.
That's
It's
how
such
it
an
is.
interesting
It's
process.
crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
like, circus.
And then,
is
and
a
then
circus,
like,
yeah.
4 months later, you think, that wasn't that bad. You're like,
It's childbirth every
it's like
single
childbirth.
time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is like childbirth every day.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know what else we didn't talk about was the fair, the county fair.
Oh, right.
That also
yeah.
another whole
That
thing
was
with
a-
instruments. That was a big
Yes,
deal.
that was a big deal. I remember.
Part two.
The layers
March to do
there.
Part two.
The girl in the wheelchair.
So when
was
you
on
edit
the-
this thing, just roll out.
Oh, I'm
let's
gonna
just
cut all,
talk
yeah,
still.
all sorts of stuff, and yeah.
Just make them want more. you
Well,
know?
no,
It's
thank
like,
you guys
oh.
so much for coming down. It's,
Yeah.
it's it's
Oh,
exciting.
God.
I'm glad, and Chris, thank you
We
as
could
well.
talk about
like,
this
Yes.
forever, obviously.
well, it's
So
so
much.
cool because seriously,
But it
I
was such
felt
an
such a
epic
connection
film.
to this too. You know, with you guys, it was great to talk to you about this.
Well,
It's
there's
just like,
one
it's
person we
awesome,
have
so-
to thank, and that's Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
For being the artist that he was and
Yeah,
who
amazing.
still keeps giving it.
Yeah.
I will say, watching every video of his and his movement, I felt like I knew him,
Right.
and had a connection
That
with
concert
him,
footage
and
was
it was like it
incredible.
was a little bit. I miss him on my daily life.
Yeah,
You know what I
I'll
mean?
bet.
Oh, my algorithm was for a year. Was
Right.
not
Yeah.
Right.
like, I'm
Yeah,
like,
nothing
it's
but-
okay, guys. You don't have to send me this anymore.
We actually had to take all the Michael Jackson
yeah.
off of our playlist here because it was just like we can't listen to any more Michael Jackson.
Never take it off your
We added it
playlist.
back
brings
on,
you
but-
back. It brings. I mean, and then the next
100%.
generation
Yeah.
is like discovering his music and.
Yeah, it's funny. I was telling Remy, I put on Michael Jackson on my way here, and I just found myself just cranking it.
Yeah.
louder and
Never
louder.
ever got tired, and that is the difference between any other artist. You do not tire
Yeah.
of that. I mean, even at our little throw together rap party, it was
just thinking about- I was just thinking
90%
about the
90% Michael Jackson. It was as if we just heard it for the first time.
Everyone dancing and loving it like you're a teenager again.
Right.
And
Yeah.
also, the film has grossed $888 million as of today's standing
to the
July
music.
8th.
It
or
goes
June
back.
8th,
It's
whatever
the
we are.
music. It's the music.
It's about to surpass Queen as the highest grossing biopic ever.
Wow. Well, I mean, we went and had lunch before this. I was even telling to Chris that like my guitar. It took me years and years and years into being a guitar player before I realized how important that music was to my guitar playing. Because
Oh, yeah.
when I hear funk music, I don't go wang ticka waka waka. I want to go.
Yep.
I
David
want to do these little
Williams.
palm muted
David
things. Yeah, it's all.
Williams,
It's all
David
David
Williams
Williams.
was like his favorite rhythm guitar player. He like, insisted on having
It's
that
all
guy.
that Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
I
I mean, even like Thriller Toto was the backing band on that.
That's
sort of
right,
Thriller.
that's right.
And like you don't realize Toto, like such a, like a white
Toto could
band,
jam, yeah.
they would, that's how good those guys were. You
Yeah.
know, Steve Lukather that played all that stuff until Eddie came in and did that one solo. But I mean,
He's a little guitar library.
Yes, he
I
is.
am. I love it. And you know
God
what?
for you, Paul Baker.
Thank you for providing me. I mean, she knew from day one. Don't be playing all the time. But it was like I literally was. I have pictures of like the guitar setups. It was just like coming in and like having that cart and like I could geek out and then
I know
handing it
if
to
any
the
of us
actor.
were good at social media. We don't know how to Instagram, but we have some good. I don't know how to do it.
So many good things. But also being able to hand it to those actors that even
Yeah.
though they were background actors,
Sure.
they were taking it super seriously. So to be able to hand them these guitars that Gay found that like when they put it on, well you did, you and Emily and all the, I didn't prep as much as they did.
Right.
So like they found these things and then I would take them and sort of get them ready for them. But then when you hand it to them and you could see in their face when they put it on, they started to strum.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, this is the real deal. Like, okay, this
Wait
is
till you
real.
Yeah,
see the other
right.
performances, though.
Ugh,
I know they'll be in the next one. Blow you away.
I'll bet.
black and white especially. Man.
Oh, geez.
So good. Honestly,
Oh my
the crew was
God.
dancing and moving. Even the shyest crew member that had no rhythm was still moving their ass.
Paul's like,
Even
I
that-
morphed into an Asian woman.
Yeah, but there was so many people that like
At one
were
point,
jamming on
when
set.
there was a bit during the big crowd scenes when they're going, and they're supposed to yell out, Michael,
Yeah.
Right,
Michael.
right.
They started yelling out Jafar.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was one of those things
Wow.
like, just let it roll. Because
Yeah.
they just started, and
Yeah.
Jafar was just, almost in tears.
I'll
Because
bet.
they were like, fuck it, we're not going to say Michael, we're going to say Jafar right now.
Also, the kid's
Yeah.
first movie, he never acted before.
Unreal.
He was a pro to all of us. He was a pro. He was open. He was like a sponge. Like, he knew he didn't know everything about that process. It was new to him. And he would ask questions. He was humble. Like, it was pretty cool to have the number one on the call sheet be like that.
Right.
And then to have a
Paul
powerhouse
had a
like
crush.
Coleman. Gay, and then we're like, you're crushing on your own. No.
He had a crush.
He was
It was your
definitely a
boy
good dude.
crush.
He was definitely a good dude. I enjoyed talking to him about
That's
music
cool.
and film.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I guess we got one camera left. Thank you guys, everybody, for
Thanks,
listening.
guys.
Stick around.
Thank you.